major incident with the president in the middle of the night while we were sleeping, and this is frightening to me. About 1 hour after the president left on Air Force One from Joint Base Andrews and was on his way to this conference in Switzerland, about an hour into the flight, they made a U-turn and flew back to Andrews. An hour out, made a U-turn with the president on board on Air Force One and flew back to Andrews. What is been reported is there was a minor electrical problem on Air Force One, and that's why they did this. They transferred the president to another Air Force One and then took off to Switzerland. And they put him on the small Air Force One to fly him to Switzerland. And I'm not buying it. I am not buying it. Not only am I not buying it, I would imagine very few people are, because, let's just go over what's happened here recently. This is the third incident in recent times involving the president and Air Force One. If you remember, a week and a half ago, there was, on the way from Mar-a-Lago to Air Force One, a week and a half ago, there was a mysterious object found on the road. The motorcade took a high-speed detour, cars very close together in the motorcade, so close together, zigzagging through the city of Palm Beach, that the press vans almost had a collision with one another, rear-end collisions. They arrived at the airport in Palm Beach. Air Force One had all the lights off. A couple months back, there was that sniper's nest found at across the street from the airport with a direct line of sight to Air Force One. Now we have this. No, I'm not buying it, and I don't think you are either. The president is turning the world upside down. This whole agenda of his, whether it's the tariffs, what's going on with Greenland and NATO, and this entire conference in Switzerland. When Trump wasn't president, what did they meet about in Davos? They talked about global warming. They talked about climate change. They might as well have talked about leprechauns and fairy dust, okay? They talked about nonsense. Now they're talking about real world things. President Trump is turning the whole world upside down, and I'm not buying this. And now, if this were a normal president and something in a normal situation, I'd say, okay, maybe. It's an odd story, but, But you look, we've had 3 very bizarre incidents, 2 of them without question, the previous 2, security incidents. And with both of those incidents that I mentioned before, we haven't gotten any update. The mysterious object found on the road between Mar-a-Lago and the airport, did they ever tell us what it was? Was it a Coke can? Was it a box? Was it a phone? They never told us. The sniper's nest across the street, they took that sniper's nest down. They sent it to Quantico for the FBI labs to look it over. We've never heard any update on that either. And the president, when he came out today, he talked briefly, talked about a couple of things. This was an interview he did with Katie Pavlich. Katie Pavlich has her, remember her? She was on Fox. She has a new show now on News Nation. This is the president talking to Katie Pavlich.
There are reports that they are still burning thousands of protesters alive. They also issued an assassination threat against you over the weekend. I know that you can't talk about what's on the table, but what is your response to Iran's leadership and their regime continuing to taunt you, threaten you, especially given over the weekend you said it's time for new leadership in Iran?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it, but I've left notification. Anything ever happens, we're going to blow the whole country is going to get blown up. So we've, originally.
So here you have the president on an interview this week talking about the assassination threats of Iran, and he's so serious about it. He's left word on if something happened, and that is not the first time he's mentioned that. That's at least the second time that I've heard the president mention that he's left word behind if something happens, and Iran is to blame on how to handle it. There's too many things going on here. There's too many things going on. You know, if this were just one incident and it was another president, we would mention it. Oh, interesting thing happened. A regular commercial jet goes through so many checks. How many of you have been on a flight that an hour into it did a U-turn and flew back to the airport? Because commercial jets are checked so much nonstop. This is a military jet that carries the President of the United States on board. This jet gets a lot more checks than any commercial jet you or I will ever fly on. And the chances of something like this happening are slim to none. And you put it together with these other incidents. So if you're on hold, hang in there. We will take some calls in a bit. The number is pinned in the live chat. It's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Some of the questions are simple questions. Do you believe this was just a simple electrical problem? Do you believe that this is very suspicious? Is it possibly, in your mind, a strong possibility of another attempt? Does this fit in with the other two attempts prior to this involving Air Force One and the airport? There's a lot of things to consider here, and a lot of things are happening. And I do not believe in coincidences. Do you? No, not at all. And when the radio show starts, I'll, of course, recap this. I'm going to go through some of the articles. You know, if they had a press conference today, a press conference with the pilots of Air Force One and the mechanics of Air Force One, and they explain what happened in detail, I might buy it. Might. But with these other incidents, the sniper's nest and the mysterious object a week and a half ago, there's never been any follow-up behind it. And, you know, these globalists are in a panic right now. This global reset that President Trump has brought to the world, this thing with Greenland, NATO's about to evaporate. And we don't care. We don't need it. NATO is to Europe what USAID was to these corrupt NGOs and everything in this country. NATO is to Europe what the Medicaid funding is to the Leering centers with the Somali pirates and the Democrats in Minnesota, meaning NATO is how these world leaders in Europe steal and get rich. They're ripping us off through NATO constantly. And President Trump, he doesn't care if NATO goes away. If it stays around, okay. If not, you know, because with him, it's about Greenland. And when you see these kinds of things happen, one after the other, all involving Air Force One. The sniper's nest, that was Air Force One. The mysterious object a week and a half ago was Air Force One. And this was Air Force One. Come on. Come on. And if you notice, even J.D. Vance has made reference of this. J.D. Vance and the president have not been together too much lately. And J.D. Vance said because the security risk is so high right now. So there's a lot of things going on that we do not know about. How many assassination attempts have there been on President Trump? If we put a list together between both terms, a lot. More than normal. More than normal. So the question is, do you buy this electrical story? Do you think it was another attempt? You know, and the president, let me see if I got the audio of the president when he got off the plane. I saw it. I'm not sure that I shared it. This is video, raw video. This is after Air Force One returned to Joint Base Andrews, and everyone's deplaning. You watch this. What do you think? Does this look normal to you? And you notice they put the president on the smaller Air Force One. You know, there are two of the big ones. The smaller one here really isn't used by the president too much for international travel. It's used for domestic a lot. They have two of the big Air Force Ones. So they took him off the big Air Force One, put him on the smaller one. There's the one they're evacuating. Yeah, it's most definitely chaotic. It's alarming, and I'm not buying that it's an electrical issue. I just cannot wrap my mind around that. And you know what? I don't think I'm alone with that. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Let's see here. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to take calls when the radio show starts, which is going to be just in a couple of minutes. So, okay. So this is the Daily Mail. Let's see what they've got for us.
Do you need any assistance?
Okay, here we go. We got a radio call.
Air Force One, do you need any assistance? I do have the routes to Andrews when you're ready. Air Force One, do you need any assistance? I do have the routes to Andrews when you're ready.
See that? Complete turnaround. So, so just something's very strange. Air Force One heads to Davos after dramatic U-turn due to onboard electrical scare. Electrical scare, they're saying in the Daily Mail. As Trump faces off with European leaders, he blasted over Greenland. Oh, my goodness. All right. Let's see here. We have about 2 minutes, and we'll be live on the radio. So this is pretty big. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. And you can let me know in the chat or in the comments, yes or no, do you believe that this was some minor electrical malfunction? Yes or no? Do you believe this cover story? Or do you think there's more here? Yes or no? Do you believe the cover story? I say no. I do not believe the cover story. I do not believe the cover story. We have just over a minute until the radio show starts. Every time there's one of these instances, they tell us, oh, nothing to see here, just some object in the road, just some guy set up a thing to hunt iguanas. Nonsense. We have 1 minute until the radio show starts. I find it hard to believe that anyone could accept this story with the information we have. All right, stand by. 40 seconds. 40 seconds. Callers on hold. You hang in there. No, I don't buy this story at all. Nope. "20 seconds. Stand by." Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977. All right, there's been some big news that's happened while we were all sleeping. I'm going to recap this story, share this story with you, and then invite you to call in with your thoughts on it. There was an emergency with Air Force One with the president on board on the way to Davos, Switzerland. Air Force One was about an hour after takeoff. It was about an hour after takeoff from Joint Base Andrews, made a shocking U-turn and flew back to Joint Base Andrews. Took a U-turn, scaring the daylights out of people. The Air Force One, after this dramatic U-turn, took the hour flight back to Andrews. The president and everyone was evacuated from Air Force One. The president was put on another Air Force One and then flown to Switzerland. They're telling us that this is just some minor electrical problem, and we had to return. Well, I'm not buying it. This is the third instance involving something very unusual and scary in the second term with President Trump and Air Force One, right? We've got this one, an hour out, making a U-turn. And they took him off it was the big Air Force One. They put him on the small one, even though there are two of the big ones. But a week and a half ago, if you remember, when the president was returning to the airport from Mar-a-Lago to fly back to Washington a couple of Sunday nights ago, Secret Service found a mysterious object on the road. Remember this? They had a dramatic high-speed detour. The entire presidential motorcade traveling through this detour through the city of West Palm Beach, it was reported, at a high speed, zigzagging through the city. Cars bumper to bumper in the motorcade, so close that the press pool vans almost had a major accident. When they arrived at Air Force One, the lights were off. That was a week and a half ago. If you remember, a couple months back, they found a sniper's nest across the street from the Palm Beach International Airport, on the south side of Southern Boulevard, which is now Donald J. Trump Boulevard, with a direct line of sight to Air Force One. And in these previous instances, we've not gotten any follow-up. They tried to tell us, it could be anything, a Coke can, a cell phone, who knows? They never told us what the mysterious object was. So far as that sniper's nest, the FBI took that sniper's nest, sent it to Quantico, to the FBI lab for examination. We've heard no reports. So we've had 3 instances involving Air Force One in just the last couple of minutes, or a couple of months, and the president, with massive security breaches. So I am not buying just some mechanical issue they had to fly back for. I think that's a cover story. I want to ask you, do you believe it? Do you believe it? You put these 3 instances together. If it wasn't for the previous 2 and the other assassination attempts, I might say, wow, that's scary, but these things can happen. But we have instance after instance, and I do not believe in coincidences. Now, Katie Pavlich, she was on Fox News for years and years. She just started this week her new show on News Nation. She interviewed the president and brought up something very strange. This is Katie Pavlich this week on News Nation with President Trump. Asked him a very strange question.
There are reports that they are still burning thousands of protesters alive. They also issued an assassination threat against you over the weekend.
Iran.
I know that you can't talk about what's on the table, but what is your response to Iran's leadership and their regime continuing to taunt you, threaten you, especially given over the weekend you said it's time for new leadership in Iran?
Well, they shouldn't be doing it, but I've left notification. Anything ever happens, we're going to blow the whole country is going to get blown up.
Wow. So this is the second time I've heard the president mention this. I've heard him mention this once before recently, that he's left behind instructions to destroy Iran if something happens to him. I've never heard of a president doing something like that, and certainly not openly talking about it. J.D. Vance has said he and the president have been keeping their distance for security reasons because things there's been some security risks that have been escalated, so they're not together too often. So a lot is happening here. Our number's 888-465-2631. Now, I'm going to go to the phones, but mind your manners and be respectful and cautious with what you say, okay? This is not a place of stupidity, and this is a very important issue. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Brian. Doc from Texas. How are you?
Well, I'm not doing well. I'm very worried about the president.
That's what I'm calling you about. Calm down, dude. Calm down, because it was maybe electrical, mechanical. Who knows? and Brian, it's machines. Things do happen, and the president is safe. He got on another plane. He's going to Davos. It's all good.
Yeah.
Don't worry yourself about stuff like that.
You know, hold on a second. We've had 3 incidents involving Air Force One in 3 months. And you're telling me nothing, just like nothing to see here. No, nothing to worry about. That's an iguana.
Brian, it's a
perch.
machine. What's the first? Okay, what was the other ones?
A week and a half ago, there was a mysterious object found on the road, which they never told us what it was, by the Secret Service. Okay.
It wasn't on Air Force One. It was on.
It was on the It was on the route to Air Force One.
It wasn't Air Force One.
It was
wasn't
on.
Air Force
Excuse
One.
me. I thought you didn't know about it. Now you know. You asked me what it was. I'm telling you, and now you're correcting me. You're wrong. It was on. There was a mysterious object found on the route to Air Force One. The president from Mar-a-Lago, the presidential motorcade, took a high-speed detour, zigzagging through the city, nearly causing a major car accident. When they arrived at the airport, Air Force One had all the lights off, took off with the lights off like they're in a war zone. The one a couple months ago was when they found the sniper's nest across the street from the airport with a direct line of sight to Air Force One. This is the 3rd instance involving Air Force One.
Brian, mechanical, Brian.
Really?
Really? Brian, I don't think it's conspiracy theories like you do, man. I don't.
Just because something's a conspiracy doesn't mean it's not true.
Right. Stuff happens, Brian. It's
Stuff
machines.
happens. It's machines. I would say you're a machine. You're heartless.
Well,
you know, you got 3. You're telling me
heartless.
that these 3 instances are just a coincidence? The sniper's nest, mysterious object, now this?
You really. Okay. Another thing I'm going to ask you about this morning. And I called your show yesterday. I couldn't get through. What is the deal with Trump in this Nobel Peace Prize thing?
No, we're not talking about that today. Open phones are on Friday. Take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, my name is Monty, and I'm calling from Antigua, Guatemala.
All right. What's up? Monty from Guatemala. What's on your mind?
Well, I've never heard of you or your show. I was just scrolling. It's 5 in the morning here. Where are you at?
I am in Florida.
Okay, a lot of people in Florida. Well, what's on my mind is every day I wake up, I try to figure out how I can save the world from the insanity of humanity.
Yeah, well, there's no better place to do that than Guatemala, right? Oh my goodness.
Yes, it's pretty fantastic here.
Mm-hmm.
I've been traveling for 5 years. I spent 3 years in Antigua, a year in Belize, and I've been here a couple of years now. But I've got a plan for the planet, and it's working. I've got about 15,700.
No, I'm not interested. This is not just some random place you come and rant. Watch the show, listen to what we're talking about, and call in about what we're talking about. All right? Take care. I got a plan to save the planet too. It's called Donald Trump. Okay, the Donald Trump plan. Trump 2028. That's my plan. It is tax season. Are you guys getting your W-2s, your 1099s, all your tax documents in the mail? I know I am, and it is tax time. The entire tax code has changed. The entire tax code has changed because of the big, beautiful bill. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, has said people are going to get the largest tax refunds they've ever had in their life. You want to call Jamie Levac over at Swift Tax. Jamie Levac knows the big, beautiful bill inside and out, and he's going to make sure that you get every deduction that the law allows and that you get the maximum deduction that you are entitled to. He can help you with your taxes no matter where you are located. He can help you with your federal taxes, your state taxes, local taxes, business taxes, your bookkeeping. If it's taxes, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax can help. All right, give him a call. And you know, with Jamie Levac, you can get your return in as little as 24 hours. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. Back after this. All right, we're clear. I'm going to go to the phones when we get back from the break, okay? So stand by. Do you believe the craftsmanship still matters? Then visit DivineEscapes.com. Based in Pennsylvania, DivineEscapes.com specializes in natural stone hardscaping built the way it's been done for centuries, using dry stone masonry techniques that rely on physics, balance, and experience, not shortcuts. Every project at DivineEscapes.com begins with the land itself. Each stone is hand-selected, shaped, and set with intention, combining traditional standards with original artistic design. The result is stonework that doesn't just decorate your landscape, it belongs there. DivineEscapes.com uses locally sourced stone whenever possible, reducing environmental impact while creating features that feel natural, timeless, and enduring. From flowing stone patios and mosaics to sculptural walls, boulder benches, and one-of-a-kind stone art, every piece is crafted with precision and expertise. If you're looking for something authentic, built to last, and unlike anything else, you'll find it at DivineEscapes.com. You'll also find great gifts, too. Go right now to DivineEscapes.com. View the inventory and see what natural stone can become. DivineEscapes.com.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Happy New Year, health, wealth, and happiness, and may 2026 be your best year. The first quarter of each year is the slowest for roofing contractors across Florida due to the lack of rain, vacationers, and recuperating from the holiday spend. We have secured 2024 pricing on certain roofing materials with our suppliers for the first quarter only. So if you are planning on a new roof in 2026, take advantage of our first quarter low pricing now. These savings are significant, especially for multiple building HOA and condo associations. This covers shingles, tiles, and flat roof systems, so give me a call on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602 or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
All right, we have about 90 seconds. If you're on hold, I'll stand by. We'll go to the phones when we're back from the radio break. We're still in break on the radio station. You notice how the liberals, they don't want to talk about it, right? Doc, I want to talk about Nobel Prize. Are you out of your mind, Doc from Texas? He needs a doc to examine his brain. And our world-saving social justice warrior, what was he calling from? Guatemala, El Salvador, whatever third world pit he was calling from. They want us to talk about anything other than what just happened with Air Force One. All right. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. We'll be back in 1 minute. 888-465-2631. The toll-free number is pinned in the live chat. If you're new, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell, guys. This is the only show on YouTube where you can actually call the person live and call them out on the carpet. You guys watch shows all over YouTube? How many of them can you call like this and call them out on the carpet at any particular time? Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of gripers watching on YouTube, but here you can call and share your gripes live on the program. All right, 25 seconds. Stand by. Oh, boy. I got to do a quick recap for people just tuning in on the radio, and then I'm going to go right to the phones. All right. I'm taking the calls in the order in which they were received to the best of my ability. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We're back. Callers on hold. Hang in there. I'm going to go to the phones momentarily. For those that are just tuning in, just a frightening incident with the president in Air Force One while we were sleeping last night, or at least I was sleeping. 1 hour after takeoff from Joint Base Andrews, Air Force One made a dramatic U-turn. An hour out, flew back to Joint Base Andrews. The president and everyone was removed from the aircraft. The president was put on the smaller Air Force One and flew off to Switzerland. They're saying it was a minor electrical problem. This is the third incident in like 3 months involving very bizarre issues with Air Force One. So that's what we're talking about. Do you buy this story of an electrical issue, or do you think this was another attempt? 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah. Hi. Good morning, Brian. This is Danielle calling from Michigan.
Hey, Michigan.
Yes. Good morning. Hey, in regards, have you clarified yet that it was actually not an emergency landing, just out of
Well, when you
precautionary?
have the
Did you get
President
that?
of the United States on board and you make a U-turn 1 hour out and land, it's an emergency landing.
Okay, well, you know what? I did hear about it. I got up early this morning. I read a couple articles. I would have thought that, I was concerned when I first started reading it, naturally. But I would have thought that if it was something that was really, I would have thought they would have just stayed there and not got on another plane and left.
Well, maybe, first of all, if he didn't go, it would cause a panic.
That's correct. But at least.
If you remember on 9/11, when 9/11 happened and they flew President Bush out on Air Force One, he addressed the nation from Mississippi, and he addressed he addressed the nation. They did not air that until he was back in the air. And if you remember on 9/11, he went back to the White House that night so that they didn't cause a panic in the country. So no, I would not assume because they didn't keep him in Washington that everything's A-okay. Not when you have these other two instances. One is recently as a week and a half ago involving Air Force One. Just the third one with Air Force One.
I'm gonna keep listening and for your updates throughout the day on your podcast and everything, so we get the real story and the real news.
Well, I don't know if we're ever going to get the real story. We haven't gotten any. The mysterious object on the way to Air Force One a week and a half. We never heard anything about that. The sniper's nest at the airport in Palm Beach. There was no follow up on that. If any of these were isolated incidents, like if this was an isolated incident with any other president, I probably wouldn't even mention it as more than an afterthought. But there's a pattern here.
No, I hear what you're saying, Brian. But realistically, he has to leave Washington. We all know that. Unfortunately, these are the times and what we're faced with right now. And I'm sure and hoping and praying that the security and everything is just of utmost urgency for him.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I hear what you're saying. I was kind of disturbed by reading that and hearing that too. I'm just going to be very grateful when they all land safely and it gets the job done there and it gets back. But
all right.
I thank you for covering this, and I'll be listening to your show till 9.
All right, take care. Appreciate it. 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Hey, Richie.
I'm going to have to disagree with you this time, but this just is only a matter of opinion here. I'm going to explain why. I'm ignorant to flying. I get on an airport, I get on a jet, I sit down, and I depend on the people up front to take care of me. I'm sure you're the same way. My cousin, who
I know
gives me a lot of information.
He's a pilot. I know. I've heard that.
He's captain for Delta. He flies to South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that there's actually, if it's more than 8 hours, they have to have two crews, two captains, two co-pilots.
Yeah.
These guys go through such extensive training. Delta trains people from all over the world. The reason I'm saying all this, you have a board in front of you. Now, if I looked at that board in front of you, I would say, "Oh my God, what the hell am I looking at?" Because you're the expert, Brian. Things go wrong right in front of you. Just yesterday, you tried to play a video, it didn't go off right away. He said, "Hold on, during the call, I'll try to fix this." In other words, my cousin told me the average passenger would never fly a flight if he knew what we had to go through up in the cockpit.
Sure.
You see all those. Now, I'm not saying that President Trump isn't under the greatest threat of any president I've ever known. He's got hits on him from every country. Everyone, half this country wants to, do things to him. I understand that, but first of all, they went out. They find an electrical problem. These guys are well trained. They say, "Well, is it better to turn around and just park this thing and get this fixed? Because this is a 10-hour flight. We're going out over the ocean. Why take a chance?" Now, you say it was chaotic at the airport. They're not going to go to the terminal. These are press corps and everything else.
Richie,
They're gonna go
if this
right on a
couple things here, okay? If this was a one-off incident, I would be like, oh, these things happen. We've had 3 incidents in 3 months. We've had 2 in less than 2 weeks involving Air Force One. The president told Katie Pavlich on News Nation that he's left word what to do if Iran assassinates him. J.D. Vance has said that he and President Trump aren't even together very much anymore because of the threat assessments. They have, so I'm when you put all this together, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
I'm 100% buying it, because if it was a true threat to his life, in this case, it would have been canceled out.
No. President Bush went back to the White House on 9/11, which was a target, and they didn't know what was going on because they didn't want to cause a panic. Okay, they didn't want to cause a panic, so we went back to the White House on 9/11. If you remember, they make all kinds of make all kinds of decisions when these things happen.
If there was an electrical problem, you were a captain on your boardroom.
Yeah, but this isn't Delta. This isn't Delta flying to Atlanta, This is a United States Air Force aircraft that carries the President of the United States.
Right. I understand that. That's exactly why he would turn around. There are airlines that'll tell you keep on going. We have service center at the other end.
So you think 3 incidents with Air Force One in 3 months, 2 in less than a week, and it's just a coincidence. Oh, these things happen.
I think an electrical problem with Air Force One
sounds like a good cover story. It sounds like a good cover. Hey, Rich, I appreciate the call. We're coming up on the break. I know he's got a cousin or brother-in-law that's a pilot, so he knows. I'm sorry. While these things are common, okay, this plane, Air Force One, can fly during nuclear strikes, okay? It's like one step down from the doomsday plane. They have so many backups that they don't have on a regular Delta flight. And you put these instances together, that changes everything. If you are on hold, do not go anywhere, because we're going to go back to the phones after the bottom of the hour break. I want to talk about Friendly Tire in Margate. Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire. You can get new tires out the door and on the road for as low as $75 a tire. And by the way, as low as $75 a tire on new tires, that's for common sizes on some of the most popular vehicles and common vehicles on the road today. And when I say out the door and on the road, Friendly Mike at Friendly Tire doesn't charge you to balance the tire, mount your tire, or even dispose of your old tire. He has thousands of good used tires in stock for as low as $35 a tire. He has all the name brands you know and love too. Michelin, Pirelli, whatever you like. Firestone, I'm a Firestone guy. If you have a Tesla, he's got the special tools needed for Tesla tires. And if you have run flats like I do on one of my cars, holy smokes, the best deals you'll ever get on run flats. We have listeners that travel over an hour each way because the prices are that good at Friendly Tire. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. He'll give you a quote over the phone. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. That's 954-977-9445. We'll be back right after this. All right, we're clear. If you're on hold, stand by. We're going to go to the phones when we get back.
What if we've been asking the wrong questions about aliens all along? When people talk about non-human intelligence, they look to the skies, to UAPs, to massive craft and towering beings. But what if some of them have been here the entire time, much smaller and hiding in plain sight? In When the Fae Came, available online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon, author Martin Thomas explores a provocative idea that the beings we've called fairies, elves, dwarfs, and goblins may not be myth at all, but advanced non-human intelligences. Drawing from global sightings and early research, When the Fae Came connects underground and underwater colonies across places like Mexico, Canada, Malaysia, and Europe. Beings capable of invisibility, flight, and telepathic communication. This isn't fantasy, it's an investigation into how ancient stories may be misunderstood encounters with something real. If you're curious about where folklore ends and non-human intelligence begins, questions. When the Fae Came asks questions most researchers avoid. Order your copy of When the Fae Came from author Martin Thomas online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon.
This is Jamie Levac with Swift Tax. With the big, beautiful bill, I can help you with your federal, state, city, and income tax. The Treasury Secretary said that this year, taxpayers will be receiving the biggest refund they've had in years. We at Swift Tax will maximize your refund. Call me now, 954-773-1587. That number rings directly to my cell phone, 954-773-1587.
All right, we're 1 minute away to returning from our radio station break. If you're on hold, stand by. You know, every time one of these incidents happen, the object in the road, the sniper's nest, they go, oh, no, this happens. Oh, the sniper's nest, that's just some guy looking to shoot iguanas by the airport where Air Force One is parked. Oh, it could have been a Coke can and a piece of paper in the road. Every single time one of these instances happen, I get calls from people that nothing to see here. Going with the official story. I'm not buying it. Not after Butler. Not after the golf course. Those of you watching on the live stream with the green wall behind me, if you go to my main stream, you can see and hear all the audio and video that I play. Okay, we got 20 seconds, and then we'll be back. Callers on hold, stand by. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'll go to these calls before I do any more recapping and share my thoughts. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Mike from Louisiana.
Hey, Mike.
You know, if he's talking about attacking Iran, he doggone knows for sure that Iran had something to do with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so, I mean, other than the fact that money, how was Iran able to pay somebody that had the technical ability to get close enough to make this look like a malfunction rather than what it was, an assassination?
Yeah. Attempt. You know, every time one of these instances happen, and I talk about them, people call and tell me nothing to see here, right? With the one week and a half ago, oh, it could have been a Coke can in the road that they overreacted to. Give me a break, okay? With the sniper's nest, remember what they said? That was a guy who was hunting for iguanas. I get these calls. Really? Give me a break. If I see a press conference today with the pilots, mechanics from Air Force One, and they walk through the details of the electrical issue, I might believe that at that point. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Gina calling from New York.
New York.
Brian.
You're on the air.
Yes, thank you for your show. I just want to say something. These people that are calling saying these things, it's unbelievable. First of all, Air Force One is checked every day from front to back. And when the president's going to be traveling, you best believe they're inspecting that plane. Plus, he has an outstanding pilot who President Trump, he trusts him fully. So without a doubt, there was definitely shenanigans here.
Yeah. You know, and these people are just so quick to dismiss it. I saw the president when he got off Air Force One. I'll see if I can find that video. I thought I shared it on X, but I don't have it here. He didn't look like he was he didn't look like he was too confident that it was an electrical problem.
Exactly. Bingo. You couldn't have said it any better, Brian.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not happy with our president, and they're looking to do whatever they can to get him out of the picture.
Well, what President Trump said, I'll pull this up. I thought I had it, but he had said he didn't know what was going on, which was, you never hear the president talk that way. He said, I've never heard him talk that way. You know?
I'm sure his captain, messaged him or had somebody carry a message to him. There's a problem here. We have to turn around and we have to go back. And thank God he knew to do that.
Yeah. You know, and I know that if this were just a normal situation, you'd say, okay, that's possible. But 3 instances involving Air Force One this close together, I'm sorry. It's too much.
Thank you, Brian. And that plane is checked every single day, without a doubt.
All right, appreciate the call. Take care. I think this is the clip. I was looking for it this week. I'm not sure if this is the clip or not.
So I'm going to...
No, that's not the clip. I'll pull it up. I played it this morning, and I could have swore I retweeted it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, hold on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. The rest of you on hold, stand by. You know, I am not... I know a lot of people are this way. I am not one of these clickbait type guys, meaning I don't create big things out of nothing just to get people excited. I don't do that. And when I see things like this happen, and I see so many in a row, you got to say to yourself, something's wrong here. Remember all those people in Butler who saw that monster on the roof, and they were trying to alert the Secret Service and the police, and they were ignored. It seemed like a pretty normal thing there. After all, who could get up on the roof when you have the President of the United States there like that? Nobody could get up on the roof with the President of the United States so close. Come on. You know, what President Trump is doing with Greenland and NATO alone has these people freaking out. They're entire, you know, the globalists that are meeting in Davos, right? If you remember the kind of things that they talked about before at Davos, they're talking about economic issues there with the president, and they're going to talk about Greenland and some other things. But the types of things that they talked about before were climate change, global warming garbage. President Trump's not only talking about economic issues, very specifically about tariffs and the power of tariffs and how he's going to make Greenland a part of the United States. Globalism has failed. It's collapsed. And the globalist, you know, the Tony Blair types, these NATO types, these Europeans and all this, the globalists, not only, they have failed like communism has failed. President Trump being reelected to a second and non-consecutive term and then kicking all this butt that he's kicking on everything. To the globalist agenda, it's the equivalent to when the Berlin Wall fell to communism. Communism fell that day. That was it, right? With Trump, the globalists have failed. Here's from the Daily Mail. Let me pull this article up about what's going on with Air Force One. Headline, Trump jet chaos. Air Force One finally heads to Davos after dramatic U-turn due to onboard electrical scare. Donald Trump finally left for Davos after Air Force One was forced into a sudden midair U-turn on Tuesday night due to an onboard electrical issue that plunged part of the aircraft into darkness. Lights went out on Air Force One. Holy smokes. The president will head to the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, where he'll meet with several European leaders. The modified 747-200B was less than an hour into its transatlantic flight to the World Economic Forum in Davos when the crew made the call to abort the journey and head back toward the United States. Moments after takeoff from the East Coast, the lights in the press cabin went out, prompting the aircraft to turn around and return to Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Trump boarded another aircraft, an Air Force C-32, a modified Boeing 747 normally used by the president for domestic trips to smaller airports. That's the smaller Air Force One he's on. And continued on with his trip to the World Economic Forum in Davos shortly after midnight. See, this thing with the lights going out, this is what happened at the airport a week and a half ago in Palm Beach. They turned all the lights off on Air Force One. It's a security measure. So maybe this was electrical, or maybe the lights went off for a security purpose. We don't know. Air Force One is used to designate any Air Force aircraft carrying the president. White House officials addressed the scare, saying the decision was taken out of an abundance of caution. and stressing the electrical problem was minor. One of the aircrafts underwent scheduled maintenance on January 9th, though it's unclear if it's the one the president initially flew on. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt made a joke on the flight about the jet Trump had been gifted by Qatar. She said the Qatar jet's sounding much better right now. Members of the Trump administration on the plane included Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Susie Wiles, Stephen Miller, Caroline Leavitt, and Monica Crawley, among others. The plane was expected to land in Zurich, with Trump then helicoptering to Davos, the mountain town of the annual gathering. This will be an interesting trip, Trump told reporters as he left the White House. The president's first scheduled event doesn't take place until 2 p.m. local time or around 5 a.m. Eastern. Okay, this is tomorrow. So that's that. That's where we are, people. You know, I was watching a lot of the coverage yesterday in the media about Greenland. And you could see, because we're getting all these reports out of Davos, you could see out of Davos that these globalist European leaders are having a total meltdown. They're having a total meltdown over President Trump and Greenland. They know that if he really wants it, they can't stop him, and he's going to take it. They know that the tariffs have turned their world upside down. They know that President Trump is prepared to get, if it takes this, to get Greenland, to allow NATO to dissolve. You know, their money is being cut off. Their power has been cut off. These countries around the world have been manipulating presidents of the United States all of our lives and getting pretty rich doing it and pushing the country around. And what President Trump is doing and has done and continues to do is a global reset of putting the United States in its proper place as the leader of the world. You know, this case with Greenland as an example, taking Greenland is being done for many, many reasons. One of them is the missile shield and security. But another one is they have most of the rare earth minerals they're always talking about for the electronics and such. China almost has a complete monopoly on rare earth minerals. Part of the reason that President Trump wants Greenland and wants control of it is to lessen China's dominance with rare earth minerals, which they use as a weapon of control. You know, China is incredibly dangerous. We're always looking to Iran. They're dangerous. China is incredibly dangerous. You know this. You know the things they've done and what they're capable of doing. And they thought they were going to be the new superpower in the world. And they've been exposed as a barely third world country. There's even a lot of reports that their population is nowhere near what they claim it is. Have you seen this? That their population may be 400 to 500 million fewer than they claim. There may be just about 500 million screaming Chinamen or so, as opposed to over 1 billion. And China is losing their power, just like Europe, just like the deep state. And you put 3 instances involving the president and Air Force One together, one after the other, I'm sorry. I don't buy it. Call me crazy. Call me a conspiracy nut. I don't care. Just because something's a conspiracy doesn't make it untrue. Remember that. That people say conspiracy and like that's a joke. It doesn't mean anything like that. Do you suffer from neuropathy? If you do, call Lighthouse Medical in Pompano. Lighthouse Medical in Pompano can rid you of your neuropathy symptoms no matter where you're located in the world, okay? They rid Steve Kane of his neuropathy after years of suffering. He saw immediate relief after the first treatment, and it's been over 3.5 years now, and his neuropathy symptoms have not returned. They're all gone. The numbness, the pain, the burning, the tingling in the hands and feet, the muscle weakness, the falling down all the time, the feeling of pins and needles in the hands and feet, no feeling at all. They're all gone. All these symptoms are gone. Call Lighthouse Medical. Make sure you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show so you can take advantage of their no-charge consultation. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. Back after this. right, guys, stand by. I'm going to queue a couple things up. Okay. We'll be back in 2 minutes, guys, so make sure you hang in there.
If you love making pizza at home, you already know the secret is the dough. But keeping dough balls perfectly shaped, properly fermented, and organized in your fridge, that's the hard part. Not anymore, thanks to KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. KevJess gives every dough ball its own individual container, so nothing sticks together, nothing dries out, and every ball stays perfectly round. The tight-fitting lid locks in the right humidity, making 24 to 72-hour cold fermentation easy and consistent. Made from food-grade silicone, KevJess containers are reusable, easy to clean, and designed to save fridge space compared to bulky proofing trays. They're stable, reinforced, and perfect for home pizza makers using pizza ovens or anyone serious about great dough. Better fermentation, better shape, better pizza. Upgrade your dough process with KevJess silicone dough proofing boxes. Online at kevjess.com. That's KEVJES. They make great gifts too. Order yours right now and start baking pizza like it was meant to be made. KevJess.com.
All right. I'm going to get into this story when we get back, but if you're on hold, hang in there. If you're welcome to call in about this Air Force One incident as well. We're back. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. My name is Brian Craig, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Our number toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm going to move on to some other topics and recap this Air Force One story after the top for people that are just tuning in then because it's so important. But, you know, for an hour I've been taking calls, and it's amazing. I hear from these liberals, right? All of a sudden, these liberals believe Caroline Leavitt in the word of the White. Oh, they said it was just an electrical issue, just a minor electrical issue. Since when do you liberals take as the gospel? Well, I shouldn't say that because liberals believe the gospel's fairy tales and make bank believe. I know it's truth. You know it's truth, but, you know, liberals. You know, all of a sudden, liberals are taking the word of Caroline Leavitt in the Trump White House as true. Since when do you believe them? And why? And you guys out there that are conservative, that are MAGA, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, think about it. All these liberals today. Oh no, Caroline Leavitt said minor electrical issue. That's it. I'm a liberal. Believe it. Really? Isn't that something? I've never known liberals to take the word of Caroline Leavitt or the Trump White House, but all of a sudden now they do. I read this article in Breitbart, and it's pretty frightening. Peter Schweizer has a great new book. Remember Peter Schweizer, the author of Clinton Cash, and he's written some great books about corruption in D.C. His new book, Peter Schweizer's new book, is titled The Invisible Coup: How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon. And there's an article about this in Breitbart. Here's the headline: Mexico's election plot unmasked. how Mexico's 50-plus consulates are running shadow campaign to sway U.S. elections. With more than 50 consulates in the United States, Schweitzer writes, the Mexican government is blatantly interfering in our domestic politics, working with American political advisors to turn legal and illegal migrants inside the United States into a political force to wield for their benefit. Schweitzer writes, the Mexican government sends about 1 million textbooks to American schools every year to teach its version of U.S. history. What? Where are these Mexican U.S. history books? Among other subjects, likewise, for Mexican-American adults in the United States, Mexico's consulates offer such courses, which Schweitzer writes is not meant to help assimilate Mexican migrants to American life. Perhaps most consequential are the mass protests that Mexico's consulates help stage in the United States, Schweitzer writes, designed to combat anti-illegal immigration policies. And Peter Schweitzer writes this in his book, Mexico, working with its domestic allies, that means Democrats, right? Mexico, working with its domestic allies, has staged successful mass protests during the spring of 2007. Hundreds of thousands of protesters took to the streets across America in multiple marches to defend illegal immigrants. They blocked roads. Was this that A Day Without a Mexican thing they did? It might be. I don't know. 07? They blocked roads carrying Mexican, Salvadorian, Guatemalan, or Dominican flags. The chants reflected a presumption of the right to become citizens regardless of their host country's laws. Today we march, tomorrow we vote, and we didn't cross the border crossed us. Teaching this that the United States is in U.S.-occupied Mexican territory. At one Los Angeles protest involving hundreds of thousands of Hispanics, including illegal aliens, the Associated Press reported that Alberto Tinoco, a Mexican television reporter, was almost giddy watching the subversion of American political sovereignty, telling viewers on Mexican television, with all due respect to Uncle Sam, this shows that Los Angeles has never stopped being ours, meaning Mexican. The former president of Mexico toured American cities in February 2017 with the purpose of rallying Mexican migrants in the U.S. against President Trump's border policies. And I imagine the cartels have a lot to do with this as well, right? In his attempt to stop Trump's border policies, he went so far, this is the former president of Mexico on a U.S. tour, he went so far as to suggest turning Mexico's consulates into migrant defense offices. He wasn't just aiding migrants with an organization he formed in this country with legal battles in the U.S. He was calling for and working toward an electoral change in the U.S., Peter Schweitzer writes. A foreign leader so brazenly interfering in American politics was unprecedented, at least from a country with whom the United States was not at war. And there's a big article in Breitbart about this. And I posted this on my X at Brian Craig Show. And my guess is that either the president is aware of this Peter Schweitzer book and this Mexican consulate work, or if he's not, he will be soon. This is not new. The internment of Japanese Americans, right? The internment of Americans of Japanese descent after Pearl Harbor. The reason that was done was, you never learn this. Michelle Malkin wrote a very good book that's very difficult to find, and it was called The Case for Internment. It was a book she wrote after 9/11. And I had this book. I kept it for years, and it got water damaged and destroyed. And maybe I should buy another copy. I'll see if it's on Amazon. It's Michelle Malkin, The Case for Internment. It's a very good book. And she detailed why the United States set up these internment camps. And what she pointed, and I'm not arguing that it was the right thing to do. I'm just telling you what the argument was at the time, which we're not taught about. And Michelle Malkin wrote about this. Okay. There were some after Pearl Harbor. There were some instances of Americans of Japanese descent helping the Japanese after the attack. That's true. But these 50 Mexican consulates that are staging protest and involved in all these things around the country. the Japanese had something similar. They were called social clubs. There were Japanese social clubs from coast to coast in all the major cities. And there was a concern that they were being used as spy bases and to undermine things in the United States. And that's why they started rounding up Americans of Japanese descent. Now, again, I don't want you to say that. I don't want you to think I'm coming out in favor of the internment of Americans of Japanese descent. I'm just telling you what Michelle Malkin exposed in her book, that, things were scary. Well, we have something like that going on now. And these 50 Mexican consulates all need to be shut down. They need to be sent back to Mexico. They need to be deported too. Because, Peter Schweitzer, if you follow his work over the years, he's brilliant. Everything he's written is truth. He is one of the most well-researched writers I've ever seen, with a 100% accuracy rate. He's very good, Peter Schweitzer. And when he shares something like this in one of his books, you can take it to the bank. And these 50 consulates, they're not there to help their people. They're there to undermine American politics. And they have unlimited money because of the drug cartel money. Now, the drug cartel money is drying up, and they're probably having some bit of a financial pinch. But these 50 consulates all need to get shut down. President Trump in his press conference yesterday, celebrating his first year of his second term, pointed out, and this was amazing, there has not been a single illegal crossing at the southern border in 8 months. Think about that. Drug importation's down dramatically, and they're working on the last bit of the land importation of drugs. He says they know where they're coming in from, and they're going to go after those soon. So, Mexico, which is a drug cartel country, the president of Mexico is a puppet government for the cartels, like big chunks of Latin America. And they're in a panic mode right now because of the drug business being shut down, and they're also in a panic over Maduro being picked up the way he was a couple weeks ago. So these 50 consulates have to get shut down. They have to get shut down quick. And I hope when Davos is over, I hope to hear President Trump asked about this, or Stephen Miller or Caroline Leavitt talk about this. Because when I saw this story from Peter Schweitzer, I saw this yesterday. I just didn't get to it on yesterday's show. It's frightening. He has another story out of his book about how many Chinese have gotten citizenship, 1 million or more, and by 2030 they're expected to be able to vote. So the CCP has been infiltrating the country, mostly probably through student visas, but they've been getting citizenship for Chinese nationals to set up a voting bloc. So this country, we are under attack in ways that we don't even know about and are hard to even believe have happened. But the attacks on this country are at a level that are so more sophisticated than anything the Soviet Union did during the Cold War. The Soviets were behind the Vietnam War protests, sure, but what China, what Mexico, and others have been doing to this country, inside this country, is a propaganda, psychological Cold War against us that's never been experienced ever before. And Peter Schweitzer's book it's probably the most important book he wrote since the first big one, which was Clinton Cash, when people first started waking up. USAID, one of the reasons USAID was shut down is because of Peter Schweitzer's work over the years, woke people up to what was going on. This is his new exposure, is what the Chinese and the Mexicans are doing to cause dissent inside this country. It's textbook. It's like CIA type work, but it's the CCP, and it is Mexico. Well, the countdown has begun. Our 10th annual MAGA cruise is just around the corner. And, those of you that are new to the program, our cruises started so that I could get a vacation. And our first cruise was a 4-day cruise because we'd never done a cruise before, and I wasn't too sure about it. And everyone after that's been a week long. And this is a 7-day cruise on the Celebrity Beyond, which is a luxury cruise ship. And we're sailing to San Juan, Puerto Rico, the British Virgin Islands, and the Dominican Republic. And we do everything together. We have amazing shore excursions. We have dinner together. Just a great time. And with these cruises have become our MAGA cruises. It's my annual vacation. When we took our first week vacation, our first week cruise was my first full week off in 20 years. I'm not kidding. That was part of the promotion for that cruise. And you are invited to join us. We've got a great group. This is our largest group yet. Call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot. I'm going to give you the number. If you get his voicemail, please leave a message with your name and number. He will call you back. 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. That's 561-244-5779. And join our 10th annual MAGA Cruise leaving March 22nd on the Celebrity Beyond. All right, 1 hour down, 2 to go. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back right after this.
Fantasy players and managers, are you tired of guessing, second guessing, and losing trades you thought you won? There's a better way to play fantasy sports, and that's with allfantasysportsapp.net. Allfantasysportsapp.net is the decision support platform built for serious fantasy players and managers. Allfantasysportsapp.net connects directly to your league and gives you real data-driven insights, trade analysis, matchup-based start and sit recommendations, dynasty rankings, waiver advice, and power rankings. This is skill-based fantasy strategy designed to help you learn, improve, and win. With allfantasysportsapp.net, you can preview a real demo league with no sign-up required, explore the tools, and see exactly how the system works before connecting your own league. It's free to use too, community-driven, and built to grow with managers. And right now, early users get free access to upcoming AI tools. Stop fighting for space and start fighting to win. Visit allfantasysportsapp.net and sign up for early access right now. allfantasysportsapp.net. Do you believe the craftsmanship still matters? Then visit DivineEscapes.com. Based in Pennsylvania, DivineEscapes.com specializes in natural stone hardscaping built the way it's been done for centuries, using dry stone masonry techniques that rely on physics, balance, and experience, not shortcuts. Every project at DivineEscapes.com begins with the land itself. Each stone is hand-selected, shaped, and set with intention, combining traditional standards with original artistic design. The result is stonework that doesn't just decorate your landscape, it belongs there. DivineEscapes.com uses locally sourced stone whenever possible, reducing environmental impact while creating features that feel natural, timeless, and enduring. From flowing stone patios and mosaics to sculptural walls, boulder benches, and one-of-a-kind stone art, every piece is crafted with precision and expertise. If you're looking for something authentic, built to last, and unlike anything else, you'll find it at DivineEscapes.com. You'll also find great gifts too. Go right now to DivineEscapes.com. View the inventory and see what natural stone can become. DivineEscapes.com.
All right, we have about 40 seconds and we'll be back. We're still in radio break. Okay, stand by. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to have to do a recap on the Air Force One story, and then we'll move on to some other things too. But boy, oh boy. All right, here we go. Yeah, a listener sent me this for Christmas. Nice cup, huh? All right, hour number 2 has begun. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to the Steve Kane Radio Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Okay, I got to recap the lead story of today, and then we'll move on to some other things. But there's been an incident with the president on Air Force One on his way to Switzerland last night. About an hour into the flight, Air Force One made a U-turn. About an hour into the flight, flew back to Andrews. The president was removed from Air Force One, put on the smaller Air Force One, and then flew to Switzerland. They're saying that it is a minor electrical problem. The lights inside the aircraft, at least in the press area, went out. They lost the lights in the press area on Air Force One. What that's about, I don't know. And I'm here to tell you that something is off here. This is the third instance in 3 months with the president and Air Force One, right? Remember the first one? The sniper's nest at Palm Beach International Airport. A week and a half ago, the mysterious object on the roadway between Mar-a-Lago and the airport. They had the lights off on Air Force One, took that shock detour. Now this. And I know most people will just buy this story that, oh, just an electrical problem, that's all there is to see here. If this were a normal day, I would say that. But with the other instances, I mean, look, right? After Butler, we had the golf course. These 3 incidents now with Air Force One. I don't believe in coincidences. There's too many things going on here. One of the other things, if you've noticed, I took a lot of calls about this early on in the first hour. And most people are just accepting, just electrical problem, just electrical problem. But the liberals that called are also, didn't you, Caroline Leavitt, she said an electrical problem. When you have liberals saying that Caroline Leavitt is telling the truth about something, you know something stinks about the story. So what I'd like to ask you all is simply this. Do you believe this story that there was just a minor electrical issue on Air Force One? Or do you think that there's something more to see here with these other things put together? And I'm telling you, I don't buy it. I do not buy it. We got to understand what President Trump's doing here with Greenland and NATO and the tariffs has changed everything in the world. It really, truly has. Did you watch the president's press conference yesterday? I watched every second of it, and he went through all his accomplishments of the first year, and they were a lot, and it was a great press conference. He showed a bunch of photographs of some of the worst criminals you've ever heard that have been arrested by ICE, captured, and deported, and sent to prisons in their country of origin. Hardcore people who have committed the worst crimes you can imagine. He talked about the power of tariffs. He talked about Greenland, all these things in that press conference. These powerful people around the world have had their entire world turned upside down. The United States has been led by corrupt public officials and incompetence for decades, and the rest of the world not only has been ripping us off and getting very rich, they've been pushing us around. This idea that the president of the United States is the leader of the free world, that just wasn't the case before Trump, especially in the second term. And the things that he is doing has them in a complete panic mode, if you haven't noticed. And when you mess around with these people and their money, that's when they start to freak out. They lose their power and the money. People always say that they only care about power. Yeah, but the power is the way they get the money. So it's a mix. And these financial scams that are going on, I mean, look how much the Somali pirates of the Democrats are getting in Minnesota. $19 billion at least with a B. President Trump said yesterday it's more than that, but it's $19 billion with a B. The Democrats and the Somalis of Minnesota. If the Democrats and the Somali pirates of Minnesota can steal $19 billion from the United States, can you imagine what Europe's doing? It started with the Marshall Plan, and they got all excited, and it's never stopped. And when you cut off these people's money, that's when they start to do crazy things. So your thoughts on that, I certainly like to hear. Do you buy the cover story? Do you believe the cover story that it was just a simple electrical problem? Or now that we have 3 of these instances involving the president and Air Force One together, are you starting to say, hey, something's wrong here? I don't buy the story. Your thoughts are welcome. Okay, now we also got a lot of information. There have been thousands of illegals that have been arrested and deported out of Minnesota. A lot. They may be close to finishing up on the deportation operation with the violent ones they've been getting. And, for all of these Trump haters and liberals who have been telling us, oh, Oh, no, you got to start with the violent criminals. That's what they've been doing. And, you know, when President Trump was going through the list of the illegals that had been captured and deported yesterday and was showing them on television, 10,000. He, if you looked, they were murderers, sex offenders. I mean, people that are committing like capital crimes. So they have been focusing in on the worst of the worst, as you could see. And Kristi Noem on Face the Nation, she made such a great comment on Sunday.
Have arrested and detained thousands of illegal criminals in Minnesota since President Trump came back into the White House. And I've never met a family that ever said, oh, I wish you would have left that rapist free. I wish you would have left that murderer on the streets. So we're just so thankful that we have a president that's upholding the law and is determined to make sure that the laws are applied equally to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, and now we're finding out, you know, that big mouth guy that busted into the church with Don Lemon, the one that had all that rah, 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 rah voice, and, you know, why aren't you standing out there with your Somali and Latino brothers and sisters of the community? That not only is he a professional agitator, but he was the one involved in the incident at the J.D. Vance church, or I'm sorry, not the J.D. Vance church, the Pete Hegseth church a while back. You know, so these are professional agitators. So it looks like the deportation operation is wrapping up, but then it's also being reported today that Pam Bondi is in Minnesota, and things are coming down. And Will Cain has just been doing incredible reporting on Fox. He's got like the crime board up on the wall where he's drawing all the lines and the connections between the leaders. And he put up on the screen yesterday Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, and Keith Ellison.
Ilhan Omar, Tim Walz, Attorney General Keith Ellison. We see a web of connections between them and those directly involved in the fraud. For example, Ilhan Omar alleged enabling introducing the 2020 Meals Act, which was ultimately subject to fraud. Held a campaign victory party at the Safari restaurant. That's where one of the men who run that restaurant has associations to the convicted individuals. And then there's Tim Walz. House Oversight Investigation role in his role as governor. Or Keith Ellison, the Attorney General. His job is to enforce the law in Minnesota, but instead he's getting donations after meeting with the Feeding Our Future representatives. The Feeding Our Future, the biggest known yet part of this entire theft ring.
Yeah, so I mean, things are really coming down hard. You know, the Democrat Party, when they charged President Trump with RICO, right, and the people that worked on his campaign in Fannie Willis's district down there, Fulton County, right? Remember the left. Remember with their guidebook, Rules for Radicals, Saul Alinsky, accuse your opponent of doing what you're doing. The Democrats are the ones involved in RICO, and we're seeing it right here. Keith Ellison, you know, and Keith Ellison. I remember when he left Congress to become the Attorney General of Minnesota, I couldn't figure that out. That seemed like a big downgrade from, he was on TV every day. He was a big high-profile member of Congress. He wants to be the Attorney General of Minnesota. Big step down. What's that all about? Now we know. That's where the money is. Being a Democrat in Minnesota, because they have this ring. So he, you know, all three of these, Walz, Ilhan Omar, and Keith Ellison, are in big, big trouble. And for those that say nothing's going to happen, I don't buy that. I don't accept that. Some of these people will be going to prison, just like Goldbar Menendez. He was a sitting United States senator, a pretty powerful, big mouth guy, and he's in prison right now for bribes, okay, for financial scandal. And Goldbar Menendez was bigger than Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar and Keith Ellison. You may not think so, but he was. Now, I want to talk about Sloman's Home Security's free home security system offer with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get a lot there, right? You get all that for just $24.95 a month for 5 years. Give them a call, 833-283-5050. It's a free home security system and professional installation, absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security System includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access, so you can check in no matter where you are. And again, just $24.95 a month for 5 years. No matter where you're located, give them a call, toll free, 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. We'll be right back.
What if we've been asking the wrong questions about aliens all along? When people talk about non-human intelligence, they look to the skies, to UAPs, to massive craft and towering beings. But what if some of them have been here the entire time, much smaller and hiding in plain sight? In When the Fae Came, available online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon, author Martin Thomas explores a provocative idea that the beings we've called fairies, elves, dwarfs, and goblins may not be myth at all, but advanced non-human intelligences. Drawing from global sightings and early research, When the Fae Came connects underground and underwater colonies across places like Mexico, Canada, Malaysia, and Europe. Beings capable of invisibility, flight, and telepathic communication. This isn't fantasy, it's an investigation into how ancient stories may be misunderstood encounters with something real. If you're curious about where folklore ends and non-human intelligence begins, When the Fae Came asks questions most researchers avoid. Order your copy of When the Fae Came from author Martin Thomas online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon.
All right, be right back, guys. We'll be back shortly. All right, we are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Our number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. The rest of you on hold, hang in there. I wanted to share this because this here... in a way, it's sad. You've seen this story with Pam Grier. You know, I've always been a fan of Pam Grier. You know, everybody knows Pam Grier, and she. You know, I haven't followed her too much. What was that Tarantino movie she was in? That's the last thing I saw her in, really. And she's kind of like an American icon. She went over on The View. And any woman, no matter who they are, once they get mixed up with that coven of The View, that's it for them. It's all down the tubes when you go on The View. And she went on The View, and well, let me just play it, then we'll talk about it.
You faced a lot of racism growing up in Columbus, Ohio. How did that shape you?
Whew. Well... The military wouldn't allow black families to live on the base, so you had to live in an apartment, and you couldn't take a bus. You couldn't afford a car. You walked. Your dads walked to the base, and sometimes we would go from tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags, And my mom would go, don't look, don't look, don't look. And she'd pull us away. Wow. Because there is someone hanging from a tree. And they have a memorial for it now, where you can see where people were and left. And it triggers me today to see that a voice can be silenced. And if a white family supported a black, they're going to get burned down or killed or lynched as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this thing with Pam Grier, one of the reasons that I've kind of been a fan of Pam Grier, Jackie Brown is that Tarantino movie. It was very good. I've seen Jackie Brown so many times, and she's very good in Jackie Brown. One of the reasons I've been kind of a fan of Pam Grier is because Columbus, Ohio is my hometown, and I knew she grew up there, and she's, so, you know, at least for me, I don't know if this is true of everyone from Columbus, but, you know Pam Grier grew up there, so you got like a connection. Not too many famous people from Columbus, Ohio, and she's one of the more famous. But one thing about, when she said this yesterday, it made me sick, okay? There has not been, ever in history, a single lynching that took place in Columbus, Ohio. Okay, not a single lynching ever took place in Columbus, Ohio. And there's been some research was done yesterday after Pam Grier went on The View that the last recorded lynching in the entire state of Ohio was around 1912, 1913, something like that. But I knew that there had never been a lynching in Columbus, Ohio, because I, being from there, I knew such a thing. And, Ohio, one of the things about Ohio that makes Ohio great is Ohio was the final destination, really, before Canada, for the Underground Railroad, when escaped slaves would leave the Democrat plantations. The Underground Railroad went to Ohio and then hopefully to Canada. And that's something that I've always been very proud of Ohio about. And we didn't have the racism, we didn't have the discrimination, and such that they had in the rest of the country because it's Ohio. And I remember my grandparents, who passed away in the 80s, so they're a long time ago. They're pretty old. They married, and they married in Columbus, Ohio, and they went on their honeymoon. This was like in the 40s, the late 40s. They went on their honeymoon to New Orleans, Louisiana. And I remember them when I was a kid. They were telling, they'd never seen discrimination and all of that before. And they saw it big time on how the Democrats were treating blacks in New Orleans. And this is something that was foreign to them because they grew up in Columbus, Ohio. And Pam Grier, when I saw this clip I just played for you, I saw it a couple times. And I went back and did some research. I said, well, maybe I just, maybe I didn't learn correctly, but no, there has not been a single documented lynching in Columbus, Ohio in history. And the last lynching that took place in Ohio happened about 35 years before Pam Grier was born. And Pam Grier goes on The View and talks about how it's so common that when she was walking with her mother, they had to cover her eyes so she wouldn't see the people hanging from the trees.
You faced a lot of racism growing up in Columbus, Ohio.
Please.
How did that shape you?
Whew. Well, the military wouldn't allow black families to live on the base, so you had to live in an apartment, and you couldn't take a bus. You couldn't afford a car. You walked. Your dads walked to the base, and sometimes we would go from tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags, and my mom would go, "Don't look, don't look, don't look," and she'd pull us away. Wow. Because there is someone hanging from a tree. And they have a memorial for it now, where you can see where people were and left. And
where's that memorial?
It triggers me today to see that a voice can be silenced. And if a white family supported a black, they're going to get burned down or killed or lynched as well.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and they're eating that up on The View. And Pam Grier, I mean, I wouldn't even recognize her. If I saw Pam Grier anywhere, she would not even look vaguely familiar. She's changed a lot since the Jackie Brown days. But this is the thing. I know a lot of people giving Pam Grier a hard time. And, hey, this is my hometown. I don't like my hometown being soiled with this garbage. But Pam Grier, I think, is so far gone, and she's been telling this story for so long, and she's elderly, and I think she believes it. And I don't know the military history of her family. I don't know if her dad was stationed in the South, and some of these things may have happened, and somehow she's transferred it to Columbus, Ohio. But The View and Columbus, Ohio, and the state of Ohio are owed an apology from ABC and The View, and Pam Grier herself. And I'm wondering if part of this, if the reason that the coven of The View, I haven't talked about The View in a long time. I really avoid them, but this one I take personally because of the Columbus connection. What I think happened here with these psychotic women on The View is they brought Pam Grier on just to tell this story, which is not true. Because J.D. Vance is from Ohio, and they expect him to be the second MAGA president, and they're trying to establish Ohio as some racist place that was lynching blacks. Blacks would escape to Ohio, and they weren't escaping to get lynched somewhere. But this is about soiling Ohio. It's foreshadowing that these people are doing to try to do damage to J.D. Vance when he runs for president. These are twisted people. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Charlie from Palm City, Florida.
Hey, Charlie. What's on your mind?
Good morning. Well, I just wanted to say that I'm looking at 80 as far as years old, and I grew up on Long Island. None of my friends were prejudiced. I wasn't brought up prejudiced. We didn't even talk about religions or anything like that. And then I was my mother, anyway.
Yeah,
me one day that she was brought up prejudiced. And I never knew that, ever. Yeah. I wasn't brought up prejudiced.
Yeah.
So
okay.
There you go.
All right. I appreciate the call. Thanks so much. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian, good morning. Am I okay?
You're on the air.
I'm very disappointed in Pam Grier. Very, very disappointed. The facts that you just laid out, her age, not being around, it never happened. If you probably never saw the movie B-U-C-K, Buckstown. Maybe you and Kathy should watch Buckstown with her. But she looks like something out of the next Harry Potter movie.
Now?
And just to come out there and lie, like that, now I feel like I don't want to see any movies with her again, just like Robert De Niro.
I know, it spoils it, doesn't it? You know, Heat with Robert De Niro is one of my favorite movies. I've seen Heat. It's got De Niro and Val Kilmer. I've seen that movie maybe 50 to 100 times, and I can't watch it anymore. I cannot watch it anymore because De Niro has spoiled everything for me. Pam Grier, I think she's just a senile old lady at this point.
Yeah, I feel really bad for her, but that's really disappointing. You brought up Saul Alinsky as well. Rule number five. Radicals, for reaction, like with the cops on duty.
Yeah.
So what they do is they just kind of like, it says if you look at Saul Alinsky, rule number 5, okay, you're going to see what they're doing with the cops and so forth.
Okay.
And 12 statements.
Well, listen, I got to run for the break, but I do appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show. I'm Brian. Back after this. All right. Sorry, I'm like 2 minutes late for the bottom of the hour break. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go to the break. We'll go to the calls after the break, guys. Okay.
Looking for the perfect gift or just something to brighten your kitchen? Check out Love It Listings on Etsy. From rock and roll mugs to vintage movie poster mugs, they've got your favorite icons in your favorite size. Valentine's Day water bottles, fun magnets, colorful coasters, candles, and quirky kitchen towels, all ready to make someone smile. Whether it's a gift for a friend, your sweetheart, or yourself, Love It Listings has something you'll love. Visit loveitlistings.etsy.com today and bring a little fun to every sip, snack, and spill. That's loveitlistings.etsy.com. Fun, functional, and totally unique.
This is Jamie Levac with Swift Tax. With the big, beautiful bill, I can help you with your federal, state, city, and income tax. The Treasury Secretary said that this year, taxpayers will be receiving the biggest refund they've had in years. We at Swift Tax will maximize your refund. Call me now, 954-773-1587. That number rings directly to my cell phone, 954-773-1587.
All right, we'll be back in 1 minute, less than a minute, and I'm going to go right back to the phones. You're welcome to call in about anything I brought up so far. Yep, less than a minute. 40 seconds, we'll be back, and I'll go to the phones. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Less than 30 seconds and we'll be back. We're in radio station break right now. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing, Pam Grier. I've always liked her. You know, Pam Grier, she made it during a tough time. She was a leading lady when black women were not leading ladies. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Richard from Pompano.
Hey, Richard.
Okay, I just want to tell you something. It's amazing. Every now and then you say, I saw an actress, I really like that movie. And when you put that picture up of Jackie Brown, I'm a movie buff. I collect DVDs. And this is when people ask me, what are your 10 favorite movies? Jackie Brown's in there.
Oh, yeah. That movie never gets old. I've seen Jackie Brown so many times, it never gets old.
Yeah. And all the other actors, Robert Forster, I can't even think right now.
We had Robert Forster in studio on the show when that movie was coming out. I was so excited to meet him. He was in The Black Hole. Wow. If you remember that movie, The Black Hole. Robert Forster. He's passed away. He was in Breaking Bad too.
Oh, okay, Michael Keaton. Mm-hmm. But I always tell them I can't watch it. I can't stand De Niro anymore, and it's just amazing you said that. But what happened to her, Pam Grier? How did she put on 200 pounds?
Pam Grier was born. They say she was born in 48, 49. So she's very old. I mean, she's almost 80. I mean, give Pam Grier a break.
Because that movie came out in 1995, so yeah.
Was it 95 Jackie Brown came out? Oh my goodness. She looked good in Jackie Brown. She looked really good in Jackie Brown. You know, and you know another thing about Pam Grier, okay? While I was never a big fan of Foxy Brown and all those movies, I'm familiar with them. She was a leading lady when black women were not leading ladies, and she was a leading lady in a type of character that black women didn't portray. And, you know, and for her to talk this way, I'm going to check it off to just senility.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if it's 1995. I'm trying to check on it.
Jackie Brown's probably around 97, would be my guess, Jackie Brown. It's been a long time. 97 was a long time ago, man. A long time ago, and we all look older. Yeah.
Yeah, but not like that. She just, my whole image of her. I remember her in the airport running away, and how beautiful she was. And every actor had their own key part to. No,
Jackie Brown is a great movie. It's one. Tarantino did it. Yeah. All right, appreciate the call. It sounds more like I we've messed up his fantasy. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to tell you what I mean by that. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morgan from Pennsylvania. How are you doing?
All right, Pennsylvania. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm wondering, quick question for you. What adverse effect, if any, do you think that oil that we got from Venezuela is going to have on the country?
The oil that we've gotten from Venezuela, what adverse effect it will have on what country?
Our country. Like, Trump said that he got, like, what was it, 5 million something barrels from a tanker.
What adverse effects? I mean, that's a bizarre question. I would say zero.
You don't think it's going to lower fuel prices at all or anything like that?
No. Why do you think President... Okay, go ahead. Finish your statement.
No. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, you said, what's the purpose? Will we finish that thought?
Yeah. What's the purpose of taking all the oil and taking over Venezuela's oil?
Well, we didn't just take over Venezuela's oil. We took over Venezuela. President Trump is the president of Venezuela now, right? We've conquered it.
Yeah.
Like we're going to do Greenland. We conquered it. We just took it. Right?
So what's the point of that? I mean,
do you really... Now, I will answer your question, but are you really unfamiliar with why he got rid of Maduro and took over Venezuela? Do you really mean that, or are you just plain stupid? Because I will answer your question. I'm open to educate you, but do you really not know?
I'm just curious. I mean, I understand why he took over Maduro. I just understand why we seized all that oil, but it's not going to do anything to the economy.
No, the oil in particular that you're talking about. President Trump said they're going to sell that oil at market rates and put it into a special bank account for Venezuela. It's going to go back to Venezuela. And one of the reasons we're taking it too is to cut China and Cuba off from the oil that they've been stealing from Venezuela. Cuba was basically running Venezuela. Maduro was Cuban's puppet. Okay, and Cuba has no money. They're on the verge of financial collapse on a good day. Now Cuba's about to collapse totally now. They don't have oil anymore coming from Venezuela. China has no oil, and they've been getting oil from Venezuela basically at cost, maybe even less. Okay, and that's been cut off. And the people of Venezuela that have been eating dog meat, literally, not figuratively, that money's going to go, and we're going to rebuild Venezuela's oil economy and rebuild Venezuela so that they're no longer impoverished and suffering.
Would Venezuela be like a territory of the United States or an actual...
I hope so. I'd love it if they became a territory like Puerto Rico. You understand that Venezuela, that we were being constantly attacked by Venezuela for decades, right? You're aware of that.
With the drug cartels.
And the illegals, all these illegals that they're arresting in Minneapolis. Most of them are Venezuelan.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I am a contracted owner-operator for a trucking company. I'm a partner with it, and ever since we've had all these illegals and infrastructure flawed, the trucking industry's gone to crap. The rates are low, the fuel cost is high, and then you have people here who are not even qualified to be truck drivers and increasing the overall rate.
This is what you're telling me is not what I'm hearing. I get calls from people on this program that are truck drivers, drive 18-wheelers long haul across the country. And what I've been hearing from drivers that call me on the air is that they're getting paid more money for their loads. How old are you?
I'm 35. And I book my loads off of
hold on a second. You're on the young end. When I was young, there were constant advertisements. This is before the internet. Okay, there were constant advertisements on television, on radio, and in print for truck driving schools.
Right.
And I used to see student 18-wheel truck drivers driving around in the city where I live all the time. And the illegals have been taking the truck driving jobs away all over this country, courtesy of California giving them driver's licenses illegally in other places. So what's happening now is there's a shortage of drivers because thousands of illegal drivers are being taken off the road. Okay, and we're going to need new Americans or legal immigrants trained to be truck drivers. But in the long run, as an owner of a trucking company, maybe you don't like it because you got to pay like American wages instead of the low illegal wages.
It's not about the pay wages. It's the fact that the rates are so saturated with so many illegal drivers that the rates went from around $3 to $35 to $30 a mile down to $1.90 or $1.50 because these people could take cheaper freight because they don't pay.
They're stopping and deporting illegal truck drivers every day. Here in Florida, there's a massive roundup of if you drive through Florida on the Turnpike, I see this more than I do on I-95, but I see it on I-95 too. The Florida Highway Patrol, the state troopers of Florida, I hardly ever see them without a big rig pulled over these days, much more than ever. And I know why they're doing it. It's because this is a conservative state, right? A red state, a Republican state, a MAGA state. They're checking for illegals, and they're taking them off the road. So the rates for truck drivers, that's all going to go up with the more illegal drivers that get taken off the road.
Hopefully the rates go up soon. I mean, it's just been struggling the last couple of.
And fuel prices are dropping. I mean, I don't buy diesel, but I see it on. I put gas in my car.
Well, the average diesel is about $3.10, $3.50 a gallon right now.
What was it 2 years ago?
$4.50.
Yeah, there you go. So it's $1.40, $1.50 less than it was, $1.90 less than it was 2 years ago. It's dropping.
It's just if the rates can come up a little bit, we can actually make some profit in the industry and fix the economy.
Hey, listen, there's a transition going on. That's all. You're in a transition. These truck driving. There probably aren't as many truck driving schools as there were 20 years ago. We probably don't have.
They're not. They're not.
Because the illegals.
It feels like I'm on a boat with no sail and no direction. I'm just kind of stuck in the mud, waiting for things to move along.
What do you haul? Anything or anything in particular?
Yeah, so I actually haul. I have a contract with a company. I haul the Amazon labels that are on these big paper bales that.
Oh my goodness!
They cut up and make Amazon.
Wow.
So I haul like 16 of them a day. There's about 43,000 pound loads.
Yeah.
And it's a short run. It's about 480 miles, but it only pays about $8,000 a week. But I still have to pay, $200 a week in insurance, plus another $2,000 in fuel. I mean, that's $4,000 right there. Plus
I know.
The drivers,
it eats it. It eats it up. I know the profits are slim, but they'll go up because the companies.
Then I watch people.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Then I watch these foreigners and illegals who don't pay insurance. There was a guy just had an accident last week with an Amazon trailer. He was peeling off his DOT stickers that he could put a different DOT company on there and didn't even have valid insurance.
Well, they're getting stopped all the time and arrested and deported. I mean, that's way stations are turning into deportation zones all over the country.
Yeah.
It's going to take time, but it'll happen. And then when we get rid of the illegals, the prices will go up. I don't know about Amazon because Bezos is pretty cheap. His wife is pretty expensive.
Well, they subcontract their loads to these foreign drivers. They don't actually pay their own drivers. They just subcontract it out.
Yeah, Bezos is messed up with his penis rocket and everything else. He's got a lot of problems, Bezos.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other end. I'm concerned about things that he's doing right now as well. For example, he's taken over the video game industry, stating that everybody's going to have to we're going to live in a future where you don't even own a movie anymore. You don't own a video game. You don't own a computer. You have to pay a subscription for everything that you have to use.
Oh, I know. It's a transition. But I'll tell you this. So far as the trucking industry, we're in a transition, but there's no doubt that there are a lot fewer illegals driving big rigs than there were a year ago. And every day there's less.
A year ago, it was so bad. I was with a company that I was making about $93,000 a year for 4 years gross, and it was great pay, full benefits, everything like that. They went out of business because they got undercutted by people who don't qualify to be in the industry. And now I went from making $93,000 to now making $65 gross. That's a huge drop.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, listen. I do appreciate the call. Call me back in a few months. Let me know how things have improved because they will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
We're working on a military contract right now. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate the call. Yeah. A lot of truck drivers listen to talk radio because they're on the road, and it's one of the for years since I started getting calls from truck drivers. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Jupiter Joe Thomas offers free consultations, which you can take advantage of no matter where you are. And the value of that consultation that's completely free, I just want to tell you, listen to this. Joe Thomas has over 30 years of experience in the financial and retirement planning industry. He's a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by fewer than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So Joe Thomas is a top man in the industry, and he's offering you a no-charge consultation. Give him a call. Talk to him about annuities. Protect your money from stock market losses. Stop losing money with the ups and downs of the market, and generate guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Call Joe Thomas and set up your no-charge consultation right now. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. Back after this. All right, stand by, guys. Okay.
Hello?
Hey there, it's Brian. Hey there, we have 1 minute, so I'm going to put you on hold, and when you hear me next, we'll be on the air.
All right.
Great,
no
stay by.
problem, bye.
All right, we are back, and we're going to check in with Jamie Levac from Swift Tax. Jamie Levac, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning, Brian. Another day.
Oh, man.
Today was a big day. Yesterday, I noticed that the IRS has started accepting tax returns. So if you're out there and you have your W-2s and you want an opportunity to get your return in 24 hours, give me a call. yesterday was the first day that I noticed that they are now accepting tax returns.
That's amazing. You know, this is what's really amazing about this tax season. This is the first tax time that I know of when people are excited to file their taxes, because we've got this big, beautiful bill. There are all kinds of tax deductions that people have never had before. Scott Bessent, the Secretary of Treasury, said people are going to get the largest tax returns they've ever received. So people are really excited and giddy over tax season this year, Jamie.
Yes, I mean, there's so many different ways where you're going to see more money on your return than you did last year. For example, if you're a server and you had tip income, if you work a lot of overtime year in, year out, you are going to see more money on your tax return. If you have children, the credits for children are raised slightly. There's just all across the board, almost everyone should be affected by this big, beautiful bill.
Yeah, and if you're someone who's never used a tax professional, never used an accountant before, maybe you've done your taxes on your own, or you've done TurboTax or H&R Block, or the worst, that guy at the end of the checkout line at Walmart. Oh my goodness, you're missing out. You're paying taxes that you may not have to pay. And Jamie Levac at Swift Tax is going to make sure that you get every deduction that the law allows. And not only that, Jamie Levac is going to make sure that you get the largest return that you are entitled to. Jamie Levac from Swift Tax can help you with your taxes no matter where you're located in the United States. He can help you not just with your federal taxes, but your state and local taxes, your payroll taxes, your bookkeeping everywhere. And with Jamie Levac, you may be able to get your tax return in as little as 24 hours. So that's a pretty good deal, Jamie.
Yeah, well, what did they say in the past? Taxation without representation.
That's right.
And let me tell you, if you don't have representation, or if you feel that your representation isn't in your corner, on your side, or on the same team as you, give me a call. We can go over everything and can find out and make a way, devise a plan to actually save you money and possibly even redo or undo things that your accountant in the past has done. And also, if you're getting letters from the IRS and it looks like a different language to you when you read these letters, if you have no idea what is going on, give me a call today and I could go over how we can help you instantly with whatever problem or whatever letters that you're getting from the IRS.
Now I'm going to give you Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. I'm going to give you his number. You can call or text. This number rings directly to Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. If he's on the other line and you get a voicemail, leave your name and number. He will call you back. Give Jamie Levac at Swift Tax a call today, right now. 954-773-1587. 954-773-1587. That's 954-773-1587. All right, Jamie Levac at Swift Tax. We'll talk later in the week.
Have a good one, Brian.
All right, take care. Give him a call, guys, all right? You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is James in Delray. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm very well, James in Delray. How are you?
I was listening to a couple of comments about the racism, into the North and the South. It didn't fruit from the poisonous tree. It didn't happen up north, okay? If you watch the movie Green Book, that was a great representation of what it was like as a black man going to the South, okay? And, I mean, it's insane to think that Grier is telling a story how she remembers fruit from poisonous tree up north. Didn't happen.
No, there was never a single lynching in Columbus, Ohio, where Pam Grier is saying they were so common. Her mom had to shield her eyes as they were walking down the street. There were so many people being lynched hanging from the trees. I know.
That's insane. I mean, have you seen the movie Green Book?
I have not.
Okay, you got to check it out. I mean, it's a true story about this guy who was a concert pianist who was traveling as he went to the South. He wasn't allowed to go play in these places or go sit in the.
I know what movie you're talking about. Yeah, I know it. Viggo Mortensen's in that. I know what movie you're talking about. Even
Tiger Woods wasn't allowed to go play in the U.S. Open until they said there's still black people out there. No.
Do you know?
No.
Do you know who the first person was that allowed a black person to join their golf club in South Florida?
No.
Donald Trump.
Okay.
Donald Trump. He desegregated the golf clubs of Florida. Yeah, it was a big thing. Used to be a big thing. These lefties wouldn't let black people become members of their club. Donald Trump did. You know, the thing with Pam Grier, though, this is an important thing. I have not talked about The View in over a year, and I don't really find them too important. But I shared this because they're starting to slander the great state of Ohio. It's called foreshadowing because J.D. Vance is going to be running for president, and they want Ohio to be portrayed as if it's that J.D. Vance grew up in a place that was like Mississippi in the 30s.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
These are sick people.
Augusta didn't want Tiger Woods to play in the U.S. Open because he was black. And he said he was the first one who got down to Augusta.
Remember when Tiger won the Masters, and then that one golfer made that racist comment about fried chicken?
Yeah, Fuzzy Zeller.
Yes, Fuzzy Zeller. Fuzzy Zeller. I was going to ask you if you could remember his name, and you did. Yeah, Fuzzy Zeller. He said, I guess they're going to be serving fried chicken in the clubhouse. Remember that? Oh, my goodness. It was like on TV, live. You're like, what? Yeah.
It's all the stuff that didn't happen in the South. It might have.
Well,
not up north.
The thing with Pam Grier, this is what I wonder with Pam Grier. Okay, is she said her father was. I knew she grew up in Columbus because I've heard that so many times in my life. But she said her father was in the military. So I'm wondering if he was stationed in the South and she saw it, and in her 80-year-old brain, has she confused Columbus, Ohio with like Mississippi? I don't know.
That's crazy. I mean, it's insane. Nobody in this lifetime can remember lynchings. I mean, it happened in the South in the late 1800s, not in the 1950s. I mean, yes, there was. I did when I was in college, I did a research paper on one of the last lynchings in Florida. It was in Fort Lauderdale off of Davie Boulevard. Reuben Stacy was lynched by the Democrat sheriff of Broward County in the middle of the day. And they brought the whole town out of Fort Lauderdale. Kids came out and watched it and everything. Reuben say, so it happened, but not in Columbus, Ohio. I appreciate the call, but poor Pam Grier. I'm not going to give Pam Grier a hard time. She's an old lady. She's got these lunatics on The View, Whoopi Goldberg and Sunny Hostin, and they really are exploiting a senile old lady that for their own sick, twisted reasons. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, you're a dumb motherfucker. You should.
No, that's okay. Well, I there you go, Mike. First one of the day. At least I'm something, right? I'd rather be that than nothing. If you're on hold, stand by as we wait for the delay to re-engage. And, for those that wonder, I don't talk about this too much, but from time to time, if you're new to the show, we have a delay system. I'm not going to tell you how long it is, but we have a delay because, sometimes liberals, they just can't control themselves. And when they're losing arguments, as opposed to having discussions, they say things you're not allowed to say. So we have a dump button that edits that language out. And today I'm very surprised. We're just coming up on the 8 o'clock hour, and we haven't had to use the dump button at all. And it's almost 8 o'clock. So that's we're doing pretty good. And got these liberals very upset. I want to talk about Life Imaging FLA. There's a new commercial that'll, if it hasn't run yet, it will be running. I got a call on Friday's show from a woman. Her and her husband went over to Life Imaging FLA. They both had the heart scan and the cancer screening. And guess what? They both found out they had heart issues. The wife worse than the husband. They had no symptoms. And she has problems. That's how it is. When you get to be my age, guys have heart attacks, and I hear the same story. Oh, I was just playing golf every week, and nothing happened. I'm out in the hot Florida sun. I had no symptoms, and then boom, they have a heart attack. It's amazing to me how people have these life-ending sometimes heart attacks without any symptoms. And when I hear from you in the listening audience who take my advice, go over and have that scan done at Life Imaging FLA, and you find out without any symptoms that you have a heart issue that's being taken care of, and your life has now been saved, it just makes me feel good. It's amazing. And you too can call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan right now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, just say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. Life Imaging FLA have locations in Broward, Dade, and Palm Beach. All right. Okay. If you're on hold, stand by. We're going to take our break for the top of the hour. The delay is re-engaged, but we don't have time to get involved in a conversation with anyone. So if you're on hold, stand by. We'll go to the phones after the top of the hour break. My name is Brian. This is Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years. Can you believe it? 49 years, The Steve Kane Show has been on the air so long that I've not been with the show that long. Most of it, but not all of those 49 years. It's absolutely amazing. Steve's taking a few days off in the new year, by the way, if you're wondering where Steve has been this week. He's just taking a few days off, and I'm hoping he'll be back tomorrow, but he'll certainly be back later this week. All right, we'll take our break for the top of the hour. And again, the number is toll-free 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Back after this. Oh my goodness, some of these callers. All right, stand by, guys. We will be back shortly. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll go to the phones after the break, okay? I promise.
What if we've been asking the wrong questions about aliens all along? When people talk about non-human intelligence, they look to the skies, to UAPs, to massive craft and towering beings. But what if some of them have been here the entire time, much smaller and hiding in plain sight? In When the Fae Came, available online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon, author Martin Thomas explores a provocative idea that the beings we've called fairies, elves, dwarfs, and and goblins may not be myth at all, but advanced non-human intelligences. Drawing from global sightings and early research, When the Fae Came connects underground and underwater colonies across places like Mexico, Canada, Malaysia, and Europe. Beings capable of invisibility, flight, and telepathic communication. This isn't fantasy, it's an investigation into how ancient stories may be misunderstood encounters with something real. If you're curious about where folklore ends and non-human intelligence begins, When the Fae Came asks questions most researchers avoid. Order your copy of When the Fae Came from author Martin Thomas online at Barnes & Noble, Bookshop, and Amazon.
All right, 30 seconds, guys, and we will be back, so hang in there. Oh, I will go to the phones when we get back. Well, you know, the liberals, they lose their cool. I get it. It's not easy to be a liberal. They're losing everything. We're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, and the 8 o'clock hour has begun. All right, before I get into anything new and recap, I'll take a call or two, and let's see what we got going on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Dave from Denmark, South Carolina.
All right. What's up, Dave in South Carolina? What's on your mind?
Well, the title of your stream was Air Force One makes an emergency landing with Trump. What happened there?
Oh, I was going to recap that. I've talked about it a little bit. You've not seen the story in the news?
I just woke up.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Hey, I'm here to share the good news of everything that goes on, but this isn't good news. This is scary news. About an hour into...
Yeah, emergency landing ain't good.
About an hour into his flight on Air Force One last night on the way to Switzerland, Air Force One made an unannounced U-turn back to Andrews Air Force Base. They took the president off Air Force One, put him on the smaller Air Force One, flew him to Switzerland. They're saying there was an electrical failure. The lights went out in the press part of the cabin, and they're saying a minor electrical failure is the reason that they returned back to base and changed planes. However, this is the third incident involving the president in Air Force One in the last 3 months. And it's the second incident in a week and a half, right? Last week, a week and a half ago, on President Trump's return to Air Force One from Mar-a-Lago, there was a mysterious object that they never told us what it was in the road that caused a massive panic. There was a sniper's nest found near the airport where Air Force One is parked in Florida. This is the third incident with President Trump in Air Force One. And I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think this was an electrical. I think the electrical failure is a cover story for something bigger that might have happened.
Well, if it's an electrical story, that just probably means that the plane's getting old and unreliable. Are they still running the 747 as Air Force One?
This is the Air Force One. It belongs to the it's old and unreliable. Sounds like more of a cover story. Air Force One is.
I'm just saying, if it's old and unreliable,
it's not unreliable. It's a
military truck from 1998, and it's having electrical problems out the wazoo.
Yeah, but it's not a U.S. Air Force aircraft that carries the President of the United States that's under 24-hour maintenance by the United States Air Force. You can't compare your 1998 truck to Air Force One, which is constantly under refurbishment and replacement of things like the engines and all the wiring. It's not like a truck.
So the thing is constantly under maintenance by people all the time?
It's an Air Force aircraft. We've had,
yes, and
this is the third, think about this.
I've seen how the Air Force treats their locomotives.
Oh, okay. All right. So nothing to see here. What about the sniper's nest? with a line of sight to Air Force One next to the airport a couple months ago. What about that?
Now, that one actually is very concerning.
Okay.
That
what
is
about
insanely concerning.
Okay, a week and a half ago, this mysterious object found on the roadway on the motorcade's path to Air Force One, the presidential motorcade took an alternate detour at a high rate of speed. They got to Air Force One. They had all the lights off on Air Force One when they got there. So another secure. We've had 3 issues with Air Force One in 3 months. All right, take care. Oh, my goodness. But he's got a 1998 truck, and it's got some problems. Oh, my goodness. Sometimes I wish I was a liberal, so I just wouldn't know what was going on in the world, and I'd feel, no, I don't really wish I was a liberal, but it must be nice to be, not have any worries because you're brain dead. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, that's none of your business. Do you ever feel...
No. Okay. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Charles from Stewart.
Charles and Stewart. What's on your mind, Charles?
Hey, I just want to drop this in real quick.
One moment here while I take care of it.
I believe that...
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I believe Marco Rubio should be the nominee for the Republican Party. J.D. Vance is fine, but Marco Rubio is like one of the smartest politicians we have today.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yes, he is. And, I've heard good things. I've watched him over the years. He's articulate. He knows what he's talking about. J.D. Vance is fine, but he's too new. Marco Rubio is like I said, he's one of the smartest politicians in the country today.
Well, and Marco Rubio said recently that if J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio are best friends. They've both said this. They're best friends. And Marco Rubio said that if J.D. runs, he will not run.
Say it again?
Marco Rubio said that if J.D. Vance runs for president, he will not run.
That's not good.
He might, but I'll tell you with Marco Rubio, I'll tell you a couple things with Marco. I agree with you. I've not been happy with the idea that Generation X has gotten skipped over for a millennial with JD. I'm not happy about that. Marco Rubio, if JD Vance is lined up to be the second MAGA president, that's the plan right now.
Right.
It is possible. If J.D. Vance becomes the second MAGA president, 2 things are possible with Marco Rubio as far as that administration. One, he could stay Secretary of State. That happens. Cabinet members have stayed through different... In fact, George W. Bush's last... I can't remember his name offhand. His last Secretary of Defense stayed over and was Obama's Secretary of Defense. I can't remember his name.
Oh, right.
So
right.
Marco Rubio could stay over as Secretary of State, or he could be his running mate. And, J.D. Vance is from Florida. Marco's from Florida. J.D. is from Ohio. Those are both battleground states. So they could be running mates, or he could stay as Secretary of State.
Well, I could see vice president, but I just, at the top of the ticket, I prefer Marco Rubio, and I
listen, so do I. Everybody does. But, there's this, we don't know J.D. Vance enough, and he's untried. And Marco Rubio, he's come a long way since the first campaign when he was making the hand jokes and stuff, Marco Rubio is the best Secretary of State this country has ever had. He's the only Secretary of State that I know of that's done work actually for the American people.
Yeah, he has multiple positions too, doesn't he? He has more than one position, doesn't he?
He's the Secretary of State. He runs USAID. He's the president of Venezuela. He's he has a lot of jobs. Yes, he's very overworked.
And not just that. What I do like about him too, this is one of the side notes I like about him a lot, is that when the Democrat, even the far left media tries to trip him up, he slams him down. He doesn't get mad, doesn't get excited. He's calm and cool, but he's more logical.
Yeah. No, Marco Rubio is amazing. I love Marco Rubio. He's very good.
Too.
And we but he said what he said, and next in line is JD. Hey, listen, appreciate the call, man. Take care. All right.
Okay.
I know it's it's the way it is. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Lindsay, and I'm calling from Southern Ohio.
Yes, Lindsay in Ohio. What's on your mind?
Yes, must we be reminded of the horrific event in Cincinnati just a few months ago where the young lady was almost killed in a hate crime?
I don't remember that one. Remind me.
Oh, it was probably 6 months or less.
What happened?
Her and her friend were walking out of the nightclub, and she was brutally attacked by a mob of black people who attacked her for no reason.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yes.
Like, that happened for a fact, and even the city mayor tried to cover it up and act like it was a joke.
Yes.
Like it was her fault.
Yeah.
I feel like...
Yeah, I remember that. What was she doing in that part of town? Who does she think she is? You know, doesn't she know? Yeah, exactly. I know. I remember that. Yeah.
Conservatives forget things.
Wasn't she a foreigner visiting?
No, they tried to make that rumor up.
Oh, that's not true. She was an American. Yeah. It was a man. Wasn't it? If I remember correctly, it was a man and a woman.
Yeah, I think the man may have been Russian, and
Yes.
he also got beat up really badly. But she was a mother of I think maybe handicapped children, and Benny raised a couple $100,000 for her.
I remember the story. It went viral for a couple days, and then the media covered it up. They didn't want people to know about it.
Yeah, she's very, very grateful and thankful for it. But she had a severe brain injury, but I feel like we as conservatives, we forget things too easily, and as liberals, they hang on to stuff. They get a bulldog bite of things, and they hang on to it for years and throw it up in our faces, and we just forget things so easily.
Well, I wouldn't say forget, but there's, in the first year of Trump's second term, so much has been happening, and things are happening so fast, it's hard to focus in on one thing.
You're right, Brian. But let's remind them of the cold hard facts.
But I gotta tell you though, this nonsense that The View pulled with Pam Grier about lynchings in Columbus, Ohio, just ticks me off. These are, Ohio. One of the things that Buckeyes are proud of is that we don't have that history that these Democrats had in their states in the South. And for The View to do this, I'm telling you, it's all up. They're going to start portraying Ohio as a racist state because they're trying to slander J.D. Vance. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and we Buckeyes are the furthest thing from that, and you know that as well. And they better stop doing that. They're going to be sorry.
That's right.
We're going to rally around J.D. Vance, and he's going to win it.
Well, look at that liberal that attacked J.D. Vance's private residence in Ohio a couple weeks ago and vandalized his home.
Yeah, they're going to be sorry.
And for these people that are on The View that are trying to call J.D. Vance a racist, he's in an interracial marriage. His wife is pregnant. Is this their fourth child or third child she's pregnant with? All of his children are biracial. His wife is not white.
Yeah,
I mean...
They're the epitome of hypocrites.
Just
they
stupid.
Are so silly.
They're just stupid.
Yeah,
stupid women. They're just
very
stupid
childish.
people. Whoopi Goldberg. They're just very stupid, bigoted people. All right, appreciate the call. All right, take care.
Brian.
Take care. And, the thing is, I used to be a fan of Whoopi Goldberg. I went to the theaters. I remember going to the theaters to see her movies, not just Ghost. She did a couple feature films. Remember Burglar? I saw Burglar. There was another one. I can't remember. Jumpin' Jack Flash. I went to the theater to see her movies. And, of course, she was in Star Trek The Next Generation. Every woman that becomes a member of that View panel, it's poison. It just destroys them and their reputations, and it's just a poisonous place. And all of the women who join that panel, they're just poison people. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Brian.
Hey, man.
Okay, hold on. I'm not sure what... Okay, we're going to be back. In 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to put you on hold, okay? Stand by. All right, we got less than a minute, so hang in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't realize when you texted me Tortola. I didn't realize. I was still thinking Dominican Republic. So that Tortola is the British Virgin Islands, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dominican Republic's done.
Okay. Hold on. We got about 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. And on the line, we have Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot, who's the travel agent that handles all of our MAGA cruises. Our 10th annual cruise sets sail on the Celebrity Beyond on March 22nd. And you were texting me this morning, and you told me our second of 3 shore excursions is set. This one in Tortola in the British Virgin Islands. And I don't even know what we're doing, Ian. So all our shore excursions are spectacular, but this new one that you have locked in Tortola in the British Virgin Islands, what's this shore excursion we're doing?
So this shore excursion is our signature excursion. This is our catamaran and snorkeling ride.
Oh, I love it.
Open bar.
Oh.
And the waters surrounding Tortola are absolutely spectacular. And this is really, it's our signature excursion for a reason. This is going to be epic, and it is live in the cruise planner for booking now.
Yeah, and we charter our own private catamaran, okay, for this trip. So when we go on our catamaran and our snorkeling trip, it's only our MAGA group on the boat. We charter this boat. It's just us. And the Virgin Islands are beautiful, man. They're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, this is going to be an absolutely spectacular tour. I've looked at a couple of the stops that the ship is going to make, and it's really going to be great.
Oh, this is exciting.
It's hard to top our previous ones, but we try every year, you know.
That's the problem, because we set the bar so high on our shore excursions. When we have the next cruise, we're always trying to make it better than before, and it gets after 10, it's getting tough. But you've done it all. Now, you were telling me though that these are it's a spectacular boat we're going to be on that we've chartered.
Yeah, Tortola is not a cheap destination. It's a high-end, yachting island. This is going to be a really nice boat. It's going to be a really, really nice day on the water. I'm really looking forward to this one. Usually in Tortola, I go to the beach or tour around the island, but this is going to be great.
Yeah, with these private boats we charter when we do our catamaran tour, we get luxury boats. It's only our group, as I said. We sail around the island on these private boats. We have open bar, there's food, there's stops. We do the snorkeling, and it's really a lot of fun. I love it. All right, so listen, if you've already booked, you can look up online to book your shore excursion. But Ian, I can never do it, Ian. I as technical as I am, sometimes it's hard for me to do the booking online. So I'll call Ian sometimes, and he'll walk me through it. So you want to, if you're having difficulty, call Ian. He'll walk you through it and make sure you get locked in, because these shore excursions will fill up. If you've not yet made your reservation, I know some of you made reservations and are joining us just yesterday. Call Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot and join us. We do this. This is our 10th annual MAGA cruise. It's a lot of fun. Everything is private. We do together. Ian, and I'm going to give you Ian's number. Ian is a concierge travel agent. Okay, he handles everything for you. If you're coming in from out of town, he'll handle your hotel and airfare as well for you. Take care of all of that. You even help people with transportation to the ship, right, Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. There's transfer options. Some people like to take an Uber. Happy to discuss all of that.
Yeah.
Get it done.
When you call Ian, if you get his voicemail, leave your name and number, and he will call you back. 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. All right, Ian, we'll talk soon.
We will. Take care.
All right, take care. All right, now President Trump, he signed another executive order. This one I love. President Trump signed an executive order to bring back mental institutions to get the people off the streets. And, I'm not a heartless person, but homeless people can be pretty frightening. There was, if you remember, right here in our listening area, in, was it Wellington a couple weeks ago, or was it Palm Beach Gardens or Wellington? Does anyone remember? I know a homeless man walked into a Barnes & Noble and killed a woman. He stabbed her. Didn't even know her. Random attack. And most of the homeless people on our streets are mentally ill or have warrants or both. And years ago, they used to have mental institutions, state hospitals and such. I was talking about Columbus, Ohio. When I was a kid, there was a mental hospital. The state, because Columbus is the capital, the state mental hospital was off of Broad Street in downtown. We used to drive by it all the time. And this is like the 70s, early. And all the lunatics in the asylum, they were lunatics. They were in a mental institution. They would have the windows open. I guess they didn't have air conditioning. And that you would see them hanging out the windows, waving at all the cars coming by. It was hilarious. But because of Geraldo Rivera, we don't have mental institutions anymore. So our street corners are mental institutions. And in South Florida, this time of year, homeless, they're like the birds. The homeless come to the South with the birds for the winter. And you see homeless people, especially in Broward County. In Palm Beach County, we took care of business a few years ago, and I was a part of this. We passed a county ordinance. I don't know how we got it through. You can't panhandle on the major intersections anymore. Okay, you used to be able to do that. So most of the homeless went to Democrat Broward County. But this time of year, it's homeless people can be pretty scary out there. So bringing back the mental institutions, that's a great executive order. I'm glad the president did that. That's a big deal. And it's something you'll realize as they reopen and the people start getting hauled off to the nut houses. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning. It's Jim from New York. How you doing?
All right, Jim.
Hey, so before earlier you were talking about the Mexican consulates here and the United States trying to, sway our elections and opinion and all this nonsense. It's funny with folks who are saying that it's occupied land and all these fairy tales, because they say, oh, you Europeans, guess what? They're Europeans too. The conquistadors, their ancestors came here and raped and pillaged the Incas and the Mayas and the Aztecs, and they just like to forget that inconvenient truth.
Well, and also those civilizations are pretty much extinct because of the Portuguese and the Spaniards, right? They're like extinct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. In fact, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, her ancestor Cortez, he killed oh my goodness, he's killed more people than Hitler, maybe, like Stalin.
Yes. It's crazy. They want to talk about us. Meanwhile, my family, I know your family, my family didn't come here till like the 1930s. So, but again, an inconvenient truth.
Sonny Hostin on The View, because I was talking about The View today. You know that Louis Gates, that friend of Obama's, that's the historian. Remember that? He was breaking into his own house when Obama. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Henry Louis Gates?
Yeah, with no ID.
Yeah. Henry Louis Gates. He's got a great show, okay? It's on PBS. And I just saw a clip of it on X yesterday with Sonny Hostin because of this thing with Pam Grier. He does this thing where he brings celebrities onto his show and he does their family tree. And they learn things about their family. And Sonny Hostin on The View found out that her family owned slaves, that they were a part of the Spaniard invaders, and her ancestors are slave owners. And Louis Gates does this all the time. He gets these liberal celebrities on, and they find out that their families own slaves. And nobody could be better to learn that than Sonny Hostin of The View.
Oh, absolutely. Those virtue signalers are the cousin of The View.
I love it.
I know, and it's so true. Yeah, I love it too.
I love it.
Hey, Brian, as always, great show, man. Thanks.
All right, take care. Rob from New York. Oh, man. All right, we'll take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back.
Do you believe the craftsmanship still matters? Then visit DivineEscapes.com. Based in Pennsylvania, DivineEscapes.com specializes in natural stone hardscaping built the way it's been done for centuries, using dry stone masonry techniques that rely on physics, balance, and experience, not shortcuts. Every project at DivineEscapes.com begins with the land itself. Each stone is hand-selected, shaped, and set with intention, combining traditional standards with original artistic design. The result is stonework that doesn't just decorate your landscape, it belongs there. DivineEscapes.com uses locally sourced stone whenever possible, reducing environmental impact while creating features that feel natural, timeless, and enduring. From flowing stone patios and mosaics to sculptural walls, boulder benches, and one-of-a-kind stone art, every piece is crafted with precision and expertise. If you're looking for something authentic, built to last, and unlike anything else, you'll find it at DivineEscapes.com. You'll also find great gifts too. Go right now to DivineEscapes.com, view the inventory, and see what natural stone can become.
This is Jamie Levac with Swift Tax. With the big, beautiful bill, I can help you with your federal, state, city, and income tax. The Treasury Secretary said that this year, taxpayers will be receiving the biggest refund they've had in years. We at Swift Tax will maximize your refund. Call me now, 954-773-1587. That number rings directly to my cell phone, 954-773-1587.
All right, we'll be back in about 1 minute. If you're on hold, stand by. Great calls today, by the way. All right. Less than a minute, guys. All right, we're back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Brian. My name is Brian, and everybody calls me Doc because I used to be a...
Okay, I'm sure they did. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, boy. All right, now, I was talking about this, got another story here that I've not brought up yet I'm going to get into, and it relates to Air Force One. this Air Force One emergency last night with the president, third incident involving Air Force One in the last 3 months, second incident involving Air Force One in the last week and a half. And I was pointing out earlier how every liberal that called the show, from that doc in Texas to that guy with his 98 pickup truck, comparing it to Air Force One, okay? The liberals are all telling us, nothing to see here. Caroline Levitt said it's an electrical issue. Trust that. These liberals are twisted people. Look at this. A D.C. jury acquitted a man who pointed a laser at Marine One. This guy was caught red-handed, prosecuted by the great Judge Deneen. And, you know, pointing lasers at aircraft is one of the worst crimes you can commit. And this guy in D.C. pointed a laser at Marine One. And if you remember, they had that accident last year of those helicopters, those military helicopters that caused the plane crash. Right, remember that? And then so why do you think a D.C. jury acquitted a man who pointed a laser at Marine One? Because they don't think it's not that they don't think he did it. They don't think there was anything wrong with doing it. That's why they acquitted him. Not even a hung jury. That's how liberals think, man. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is James from Texas calling back here. How's it going, Brian?
James in Texas. What say you?
Say it again. I didn't hear you.
What's on your mind, James from Texas?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you remember. I called in. You didn't want to say I was arguing with AI.
Oh, yeah. You called yesterday. You were the one arguing with your Alexa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think that was a good little dialogue we had, because there's a lot of people in your audience might not know that how they program these AI systems, what the liberal talking points. It's like them watching fake news, but it's on a device. And your kids, it's really dangerous, because your kids gonna have to make deal with that, and they gonna get those liberal talking points and stuff that you don't need them to be programmed.
Well, you know, one of the things about the internet, right? When the internet was new, when it was brand new, which, you know, was in the 90s, when Clinton was president, what they told us about the internet is people were going to be so well informed, so educated, so well read, because they'd have access to everything. And what we've learned is that it's the opposite. People are less educated, less well read, and totally brainwashed, right?
Right. Because if you think about it, it's like what Trump doing with the educational system. He took it from one central place in Washington and let the state dictate what they teach the kids, instead of somebody in Washington, maybe foreigners, telling them what to teach our kids.
Yeah.
So they couldn't brainwash them from one central place.
That's correct.
And now it's like the AI system is attacking them. So it's so many areas where they try to brainwash us, because Trump is trying to take the country back, and it's part of our minds, the war for our mind, the information war is trying to
the things, you know, that with AI, you know, this is the thing. You know, President Trump, the reason he brought all this AI, by the way, thanks for the call. Call me again. You bring up some good points. You know, a lot of controversy with people like, why is he bringing these AI companies to the United States? AI is bad. The reason he brought the AI companies to the United States is because AI is going to be a reality. It's here already. And he would rather have it run out of here than in Uzbekistan or something, right? But this election, the midterm election and the next presidential election, is going to be the first AI election. And if you remember back in 2015, what was done with what did they call them? The Twitter farms, right? Remember, sometimes you'd see these behind the scenes videos, like in China. They would have like hundreds of phones hooked up to these computers, and the computers were tweeting nonsense to spread propaganda that was against Trump, or to try to get things going on social media. And they were very effective with that. The bot farms, remember that? The bot farms. And have you ever seen the video of the bot farms where they would do that with all the tweets all day on Twitter? Now with AI, they don't need the bot farms anymore. AI will be doing all of it. And I'll tell you, there's this one thing, I see a lot of this on Instagram. By the way, if you guys don't, follow me on Instagram, Brian Craig Show on Instagram. I don't talk about Instagram too much, but follow me on Instagram, Brian Craig Show. There's this trend I started seeing, and maybe you've seen this, in the last few weeks on Instagram with AI. You take a photograph of yourself, and then it makes a movie of you taking selfies in full video form, and it looks like you with movie stars on the sets of famous movies. Have you seen any of this or TV shows? It's scary what AI is doing. It is terrifying what AI is doing. And this is going to be the first AI election. And what they're going to be doing, and the presidential election is going to be worse because the technology is getting so advanced, so fast. They're going to be using AI to put out messaging on X and other social media platforms using AI instead of the bot farms. And that's just the reality. And you got to be so careful with audio and video today, because the AI technology with audio and video is so advanced that you think you're watching somebody say something and they never said it and it's not them. It's total AI. It's terrifying. And believe me, if there's anything that can misrepresent what people say, do, and get propaganda going, the Democrats are going to exploit it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's JJ from Mass.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, Donald Trump, our beloved president, he is the most well-known, I mean, it's kind of like he's the most interesting man in the world. It's kind of like the
no doubt.
Stay thirsty, my friends, that type of stuff. And he is beloved everywhere, and given hope to the world. And the other side of that coin is, he is the most hated by some of the worst people in the world, some of them right here in our own country. So, you're basically the show today with regard to, Air Force One and the object on the road. I mean, I look at the road is easy access. The sniper's nest, which, that's right next to the
with line of sight.
Callaway.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, line of sight. It's right next to the U.S. Army Reserve, the Colonel Callaway, James B. It's right on Gun Club. So you've got Army guys there that might be a little bit, got some TDS infection. That stuff's easy access and extremely, extremely concerning. When you put that together with stuff happening on Air Force One, I'm not as concerned, but I still am, because with all this stuff going on, because to me that would have to be something from the inside if it's Air Force One. Because that's not easy access.
Well, listen, Butler and the golf course, no matter what they tell you, there was inside stuff with both of those. Because both of those shooters were in places people can't be. And
so it's still concerning.
Yeah.
Still concerning. Especially when you just, one is like, you put it all together, it just screams. Yeah, and I worry about the president, every day.
Well, let me ask you, do you think I'm overreacting to this Air Force One incident? I don't. Would you put the other ones together?
No, when you put it all together, Brian, no. I mean, listen, I look at it as, like I said, the probability, in other words, it would have to be somebody from the inside to do something. And quite honestly, though, it could, listen, 50-50 with the president to me is 100%. So you got to be.
The military is filled with liberal hangovers from the Otto Penn administration era. You know this.
Yes. Yeah. There are definitely. I mean, the wokies. I remember when you called them wokies on that Sunday show before Thanksgiving. That term, that designation has stayed with me, wokies, because it's pretty. I mean, they're crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, they're creating that, like The View. Every day, The View. I mean, these people on The View that go there, people don't agree with The View. I mean, they agree with The View out of fear, out of exile, not out of love or common principle or.
Well, these ladies on The View are absolutely nuts. I mean, they're absolutely nuts on The View.
Yes, crazy grapes. They foster, they create crazy grapes every day. And it's just, it's
I'll tell you, I watch Outnumbered a few times a week. And Outnumbered's a show. It's hosted by, I know they got the One Lucky Guy, But you see, the women on Outnumbered, they all have a token liberal, but they're conservative women, and it's a totally different atmosphere than these liberal women on The View. You don't have the anger that you have on The View. The View is a poison place.
Yeah, it's definitely fearful. The View is, they ask the question, and then they all just kind of lean and look at you and like, you know, are you gonna say the right thing, or are the beatings going to continue until morale improves? The show, it's a pitiful show, but you know, I don't know. It's like the Coliseum with a bunch of old ladies just beating on people every day. That's all they do.
Well, I have not mentioned The View in President Trump's second term once until today. Today's the first day. I've gone out of my way to do it. But this thing with Pam Grier, I wanted to get, I had to share that one just for, I guess.
That was sad.
You know,
that was, Pam Grier, that was sad. I didn't, when I saw her, I'm like, oh my Lord. That's
you're talking about her looks? Yeah, that was sad too. I know. Did you hear that one guy destroyed his whole fantasies? He's been fantasizing about Jackie Brown and Foxy Brown, and he just can't do it. All right, I got to run for the Gold Report, but take care. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. It's the Steve Kane Show. Back after this. Stand by, guys.
Tom Laporta here from Laporta Roofing. Happy New Year, health, wealth, and happiness, and may 2026 be your best year. The first quarter of each year is the slowest for roofing contractors across Florida due to the lack of rain, vacationers, and recuperating from the holiday spend. We have secured 2024 pricing on certain roofing materials with our suppliers for the first quarter only. So if you are planning on a new roof in 2026, take advantage of our first quarter low pricing now. These savings are significant, especially for multiple building HOA and condo associations. This covers shingles, tiles, and flat roof systems, so give me a call on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602 or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Good morning.
Hey there, we have 30 seconds, so I'm just going to keep you here on the line.
Okay.
Stand by. All right, we're back, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. How the metals look today, William?
Very strong, Brian. The market this week has just been in a meteoric rise, with gold so far this week up to over $280 in the first 3 trading days of this week, and silver gaining over $5. Platinum gaining some over $150 so far this week. And here's where we stood. Yesterday, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,659 to $4,767, and it closed at $4,762.40, which was up $91.70. Silver gained 25 cents yesterday, closing at $94.47, while platinum gained $101, closing out the day at $2,476, with palladium gaining $37 at $1,857 the ounce. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,757, all the way up to $4,889 the ounce. And right now, gold's at $4,877. That's up $114.60. Silver up another 23 cents right now at $94.70 the ounce. Platinum gaining another $24 at $2,500, and palladium down $7 at $1,850. So we are getting dangerously close to $5,000, which certainly looks like we could see that this week for gold. And
this week?
This week, $5,000 gold. We're already at $4,877, so we're only $130 away from $5,000 gold, and only about $5 away from $100 silver.
When it comes to gold right now, what are some of the best buys you're recommending?
Everything in gold is a good value right now.
Yeah.
The premiums are not that terribly high, so you can still pick up gold from us at reasonable price levels. And as far as the premiums are concerned, so that's still a valid way to go. And certainly gold is playing a lot of catch up to silver right now.
Yeah.
So while we see silver only up about $5 this week, gold is up some $280 so far this week. So lots of opportunity here, but the markets just seem no resistance in sight as of this time.
This is amazing. So listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. He's located in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, which is just east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. The address is 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca. You can, of course, if you can't make it into a shop, no matter where you're located in the world, you can do your transactions over the phone and through the mail. Give William Youngerman's shop a call, toll-free, 1-800-327-5010. That's 800-327-5010. And online, WilliamYoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, take care. All right, back to $5,000 gold. Oh, my Lord. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is James from Texas again. I don't know how many times
it's one call per show, James. But you're new, so
okay,
I'll give you a pass. I'll give you a quick thing, but it's one call per show. But you're new, so I'll give you a pass today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to touch on the Air Force interview real quick. The Trump claim, you're not overacting because it's serious, because it's so important that Trump survive, because we already know what he's up against and what he's going against. And this is something that is global. And when he say drain the swamp, he's not just talking about it in America. He know the swamp is around the world, and that's what he's draining. But see, we got to protect him at all times, because he's the one, he's going up against something that we know that MAGA know what we up against. Real MAGA know what he's trying to do for America. So
that's right.
We know his survival is so important. We know many other presidents has tried this, and some didn't make it, and some was, you know what I'm saying, attempts. So we know what he's doing to this extent. What he's really trying to do, it's going to determine what America be.
Well, listen, I'm gonna move on, but call me again. It's one call per day. I gave you a pass today because you're new to the show. All right, take care. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Brian. This is Drew. I'm calling from the northern tundra of northeastern Pennsylvania. That could double as Aurora pen paper right now.
Okay. Drew in Pennsylvania. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, this whole entire situation with Air Force One, and at the risk of sounding like a conspiracy theorist, there's a YouTuber called by the name of William Mouth who's called 3 times the issues with Air Force One. And this morning when I heard about it, I saw you on your on your video blog, or what's referred to, talking about it. I just couldn't help but wonder, is there really something going on now?
Well,
like I said,
I'm gonna tell you, I since President Trump's first term, I have made it a regular thing to, I've in his first, those of you that followed me and listened to me in Trump's first term, I would regularly do live streams on the weekends. I'd go up and show you guys Air Force One at Palm Beach Airport. I would do live streams from Mar-a-Lago. And after Butler, the security has increased so much around the president, I can't even describe compared to the first term. And I don't do that now. I was up at Mar-a-Lago on Friday, okay? And I didn't make a video, which I was going to do. And I don't do that anymore because I don't think the president would appreciate me showing the security. It's so intense. There's J.D. Vance said recently they're not together very much because of the security threats. And if this was a normal president in a normal time, this electrical problem, I'd buy it. But there's been 3 incidents with Air Force One in the last 3 months. It's too much. There's something up with this. Something's up. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't true.
I agree more. I mean, the fact. Oh yeah, I agree. It's like that the deal for our new Air Force One 757 from Dubai. Right now, I would seriously take that, as well as ratcheting up the security around the president and the vice president. And like you said before, they can't be together. They literally cannot be together unless there's.
Well, you know, I have seen the president's motorcade more times than anyone who's not been in it, because it's here, and I love to go see him. And if you go to my YouTube channel, I did one video in the second term of his motorcade going from the airport to Mar-a-Lago. And the way it was in his first term, you know, he would, the beast would be at idle speed, and he'd come up to the curb and you'd wave at him, he'd wave back, you were 5 feet from him. Now the motorcade travels at maximum speed. The beast travels at full speed from the airport to Mar-a-Lago and back every time. And the wind will blow you down. It's a tank, you know. So the security's tight, and it's not just because of Butler.
Well, I could understand that. I mean, I live a mile away from the closest international airport in this area, which would be the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton one.
Yep.
And they have that area every time. Every time the president comes in, it's locked down. I mean, the motorcade is a mile long, and you can't tell which vehicle the president is in. That's a dirty little secret. Well,
yeah, well, if you're local, you can.
It's not exactly a dirty little secret. But,
yeah.
I mean, they have to tighten the security, like you said before. Butler, and then what happened at Mar-a-Lago. The deep state, whatever you want to call them, the bad guys, black hats, they're going for them now more than ever. I mean, some cases,
Butler and the golf course. Butler and the golf course were inside jobs. That guy in Butler was on a roof that was filled with cops and Secret Service underneath it. I mean, come on, give me a break. And this guy at the golf course was there for 12 hours in a bright pink shirt. Watch my go on my YouTube channel. I made a documentary. I'm about 40 pounds heavier than I am today in the documentary. I should reshoot it. But I did a documentary.
Well, congratulations on the weight loss.
Yeah, Coastal Weight Loss Secret. That's my next spot. I'm getting ready to talk about that. But I did this. I went to the golf course where and I did a documentary following the steps of the golf course assassin from where he parked to where he sat in the bushes, and I take you on his escape route, and I even take you to the spot on I-95 where he was arrested. And when you see me go to the spot where the assassin was, I could see the people on the golf course, and I could tell you what they were wearing through the bush. This guy was wearing a bright pink shirt. He was out there for 12 hours. I don't think so. Okay? And if you watch my documentary on that, it's really eye-opening. It really is. It total inside job.
I'll definitely check it out. Thanks for the time, and keep up the good work, Brian.
All right,
take
care, guys. And, you know, when I made that documentary at the golf course, the assassination attempt was on the weekend. They had it all shut down, and I was the first person to go there when it opened up, because it's not far from the radio station. I got off the air at 9, went right there and filmed that documentary, and no one else has done it, which is really surprising to me. And I was able to find the bush where the assassin was, and I walk you through how I found the bush in the documentary. So if you don't already know my YouTube, it's Brian Craig Show on YouTube, and you guys can catch my podcast there too. But if you go to my YouTube channel, you can find the video there. And I am about 40 pounds heavier in that video than I am today. And when you go and watch that video, you'll see the miraculous weight loss that I've been through, because my face in that video is round, and now I've got my square jawline, I've got a chin, I got a neck. I mean, I weigh what I weighed 29 years ago. With Coastal Weight Loss Secret, remember this: there's no pills, no injections, no surgery, no working out. I didn't starve myself, and I ate foods I would normally eat. Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you no matter where you are located. Give them a call and schedule your no-charge consultation. We have listeners all over the United States that have literally lost a ton, not figuratively, literally lost a ton, thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300, and online, coastalweightlossecret.com. Now, over in Davos, they did something. This is insane. They put this sign up for the president to see when he landed in Switzerland that says no kings and lights, no kings. Don't they understand that Denmark is a kingdom? It's the kingdom of Denmark. They have a king. And if you're supporting Denmark over Greenland, you're supporting a king. President Trump is not a king. Oh, my goodness. See how dumb they are? You think because they have fancy accents that they're smart? They're just as... The liberals in Europe are just as dumb as the liberals in America. Okay? It's pretty obvious. Well, listen, another one in the can, and I'm glad to hear that some of you agree with me that I'm not paranoid about this Air Force One incident. Because early on, a lot of people, wow, you're just conspiracy. Just because something is a conspiracy does not mean that it is not true. People, I think, have lost the idea of what a conspiracy is. They think conspiracy is crazy and not true. No, people conspire to do things all the time. It doesn't mean it's not. It's not true. And I only got to about 10% of my show prep today. There's been so much big news. I didn't even get to cover what the president did in his first year of his second-term press conference yesterday, which was an amazing press conference, wasn't it? I watched every second of it. It was great. And the media, all those accomplishments that he's accomplished so much, I'd forgotten about some of them, but it was great. Well, listen, guys, thanks for joining. The calls today, for the most part, have been spectacular calls. It's been a great Wednesday. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. Thanks, everyone who called and participated today. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. God bless America, and God bless our favorite president, Donald Trump. See you tomorrow. All right, we're clear. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. If you're new, please subscribe. And if you could also like the video, and if you'd like to join my marketing team, my promotions team, take the link to the program and share it on your socials. And let me see if I have this up here. I mentioned this before, but I never really have promoted this too much. My Instagram, Brian Craig Show on Instagram. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram. My wife is my Instagram manager, and she puts all these things up on Instagram all the time.
Investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Senior national correspondent Kevin Cork has it. What's up, Kevin?
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying?
So you get all the news and information about everything that's going on my Instagram.
If I hear of someone whose fashion that I like, and I know that they're a person of color, I try to make it a point. But
there we go. Yeah. So Don Lemon.
You heard what some of the folks said in there. That this is.
So all the latest news and issues, my wife posts everything up there. It's Brian Craig Show on Instagram, and a lot of stuff up there. And pretty active, conservative place. Yep, Brian Craig Show on Instagram. And I do post pictures of myself, too. Here's me when I was on with Wendy Bell on Newsmax. And here's some of our cruisers. Back here, this is Ian from Cruise and Travel Depot. This is a rep from the cruise line. This is Irma. This is Gary. This is Dan. This is Don. Get great people there on our group. Just having a great time. That's Coca-Cola and Pepsi when we first got 2 of our kittens. See, on the MyPillow mattress topper. See that? And just a great time. I was at Disney World and ran into this guy. He's a listener. You can see where I've lost weight, right? This is a listener. I was in line at Disney World to get a Dole Whip, and ran into a listener there, took a picture. But all the latest news and events, Brian Craig Show on Instagram, guys. All right. Well, listen, thanks for watching. I'll be back this afternoon. All right. Take care. This is where MAGA comes to talk. My name's Brian.